There was a little tug there on Cher from Jota, spotted by the referee, and that'll be an early free kick.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of concern about Canate, but Arne Slot very quickly put that one to bed. Said it was just fatigue, nothing to worry about with that situation. But if you're a Newcastle player, especially Isak, play on Canate, play on that fact that he might be tired, run him 3 or 4 times early on in the first 5 or 10 minutes and really test him and see how much he's recovered.
Liverpool supporters are in good voice away towards our left as Eddie Howe in that technical area watching on as the free kick is hit downfield by Trippier, aimed towards Joelinton, headed away by Canate, flip with the head of Salah. Szoboszlai tries to get there, Tonali picks it up and now leaves it for Joelinton, then Newcastle play it back, Cher towards Trippier. Trippier with all of his experience, ball played forward by Murphy and played forward early on that right hand side and put out a play by Andrew Robertson. 0-0 in the early stages here for this Carabao Cup final as Trippier, who lost the Champions League final to Liverpool during his Tottenham Hotspur days, takes the throw. It comes back to him quite quickly and around knee height, plays it back towards Cher, hits it right-footed long. Murphy trying to get in round the back and succeeds. Round Robertson gets the early delivery in. Van Dijk does well to head it away under pressure. Helped out then by McAllister on the edge of the area. Now Szoboszlai can run forward for Liverpool. Tonali was matching him stride for stride. Laid out towards Quansah, near side the right. Salah plays it back. Gravenberch just inside his own half is able to turn.
Fascinated to see that battle between Tonali and Szoboszlai, but we'll talk about that more in a minute.
Diaz running forward on that far side, the left. Trippier gets a foot into the challenge, and then Trippier was fouled, and it will be a free kick. I know you were talking about it earlier with Isaac about the midfield, but Joelinton, he adds a different, provides that extra physicality in the midfield for Newcastle.
He's like 2 men in there. He's so strong, he covers so much ground as well, but also imposing. Liverpool, when they took the kick off, they tried to hit that right-hand side. He wins that header straight away. They look to the next long ball. He's the figure that they're looking to as well. So he keeps that play alive constantly, but also the second balls that he picks up is just incredible.
Come back into the side, and just at the right time as Newcastle go long, Van Dijk heads it away. Cher heads it, flicked on then by Tonali. And now Murphy drives forward. Murphy's early ball in, Barnes on the stretch, got something on it as well. Into a central area of the penalty area, just dangled his left foot out there. In the end, it went away from goal, but the early ball into the box.
Yeah, brilliant from Harvey Barnes, because if he hooks the touchline, then everyone's saying, why aren't you getting on the end of it? Why aren't you making that run into the inside position? He gets goal side of Gerald Quansah, who switches off for a fraction of a second. Barnes just can't direct the ball towards the goal. Kelleher was actually worried a little bit about the flight of the ball. Good start from Newcastle as well.
I remember his dad Paul scoring 2 goals against Manchester United for York City in a shock win in the League Cup at Old Trafford back in '95. Well, Newcastle United are cast in the role of underdogs here for this League Cup final, and Harvey Barnes, who missed out in the FA Cup final with Leicester in 2021 through injury, will be hoping to try and carve his own bit of history when it comes to the League Cup here, to certainly one that Newcastle United fans would remember for many a year. Livramento dances his way forward, and he was fouled by McAllister. Free kick. In a good position, Stephen.
Yeah, McAllister pleading his innocence. He was saying he got a nick on the ball, but I'm not so sure he did. He's frustrated. It's interesting that Liverpool have actually had McAllister deeper than Gravenberch at the start of this game, and Gravenberch almost taking a look at Joelinton and saying, well, if there's any battles within that midfield, I'm going to go up against you. Well, this is a great position now for both Harvey Barnes and Kieran Trippier to stand over it, and they are an imposing team, Newcastle. They've got some real giants of players.
They don't get much bigger than Dan Burn, who's made his way forward. This free kick is on the left-hand side. About 8-10 yards in from the touchline. Trippier then knocks it square. Barnes to Tonali, back towards Barnes. Takes it on inside the penalty area. Left-hand side with a cross. And there was Gravenberch to guide the ball behind for a corner kick, but a well-worked move.
Yeah, outstanding. You've got an issue now at the back for Liverpool. Virgil van Dijk, he's asking questions. I think he's saying there was a block in the penalty area. It didn't allow Gravenberch to get out and prevent that quick free kick from happening, but outstanding from Newcastle. It was actually Joelinton holding on to Gravenberch. Really smart play from Newcastle.
So Newcastle United playing from right to left as we look. They're attacking where the Liverpool supporters are housed. Corner kick from Trippier, floated in, aimed towards Joel Linton, and then McAllister gets it away for Liverpool, only as far as the dark-haired figure of Livramento. Powerful header away by Szoboszlai. Diaz hits it early. Pope, though, is out of his penalty area, and he hits it long, right-footed. Of course, he missed the final 2 years ago when he was sent off in the Premier League against Liverpool. That meant then he was banned for that game against Manchester United. As Liverpool now can come forward, but Robertson runs into Kieran Trippier, and Liverpool get a free kick far side.
Yeah, shown a clean pair of heels to Tonali, and Trippier saying I won the ball, but it wasn't that one. It was Tonali that Robertson went past, and he just clipped his heels, and then the momentum took him into Kieran Trippier. So a very similar position in the free kick for Liverpool that Newcastle have just found themselves in at the other end.
5 of the starting 11 for Newcastle started that final 2 years ago. Murphy and Isak came off the bench from last year's final, which incidentally went to, and it goes straight through to Nick Pope, who's all in sky blue, and he hurls the ball out towards Livramento, but one bounce, Gravenberch was covering, touches the ball out of play for a throw.
He shanks it out of play, doesn't he? Gravenberch comes up off his shin and bounces the ball, but alert goalkeeping from Nick Pope a little bit earlier on. He was out of his goal. Lovely ball with the outside of the foot from Luis Diaz into Mohamed Salah. And Nick Pope, who's quite often criticised for his starting position, starts quite deep on his, or stays in his penalty area. He was alive to the situation and had to mop up at the back.
Bruno Guimaraes infield to Joel Linton. Interception from Van Dijk. Diaz will keep the ball in play on the far side. McAllister just had to accelerate into the challenge, nicked it off into the path of Gravenberch, drills it away downfield. Salah won't keep that ball in play. Liverpool are the most successful club in this competition, but of their 10 trophies, only 2 of them have been won inside 90 minutes. The other 8, back in the days of a replay, extra time or penalties. I was surprised when I read that.
Brilliant. So we're going to extra time and penalties.
Well, wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me with that little statistic. There is form.
We may as well just blow up now and start the penalties.
That's cleared away by Pope. Comes back towards Cher. It's a good strong header forward. Updating the rugby, Adam Whitty.
England scrum half Mo Hunt might have just sealed the title for Gloucester Hartpury in the PWR final, scoring a try to give them a 32-19 lead. 8 minutes left. Saracens haven't had a sniff in the second half. Gloucester Hartpury 34, Saracens 19. 8 minutes to go.
Well, we've been playing for nearly 10 minutes. Isaac, what have you made of the start of this final so far?
Well, I think Newcastle have made a great start. Harvey Barnes especially, that half chance there in the first 5 minutes, but I think the main thing is they quieted the Liverpool crowd down, like we said at the start. But as said, not many chances early on, but the most important thing is that we haven't given Liverpool a sniff.
Isaac Hayden, Newcastle United midfielder, currently on loan at Portsmouth, 171 appearances for Newcastle United during his time at St James's Park, as Livramento comes forward for the black and white striped shirts. It was took back there by Gravenberch. Referee John Brooks gives the free kick. Stephen.
Brilliant from Livramento there, just evaded 2 or 3 challenges, took his team 30-40 yards up the pitch, exactly what you need to do to take that pressure off your team. But that was really positive from Livramento. The start from Newcastle has been really positive.
The thing is, and when Isaac talks about that as well, I saw them recently at Manchester City and they were quite passive. This is the best version of Newcastle United when they're on the front foot. If they're not at it, I think then they invite trouble.
Yeah, but sometimes when you are at it and you go toe-to-toe, but you're going toe-to-toe against a great team, you can often come unstuck because they have that little bit more quality than you.
Both sets of supporters are swirling their scarves around their head. The black and white to our right, the red and white to the left-hand side as the free kick is played in towards Cher. And then he volleys the ball wide and it goes off target. There's a Liverpool player down at the moment.
Yeah, I think it was just a coming together between him and Dan Burn. It's McAllister who took a little bit of a blow to the chest as Dan Burn and him came together.
When we've talked about the midfield, what about the matchup between Szoboszlai and Sandro Tonali, the 2 number 8s?
Yeah, that's the one that I've been keeping my eye on, and Tonali's pressing in on Guimaraes, and then Szoboszlai's running in behind, and it's posing a little bit of a problem to Dan Burn when they're in possession, because he's wondering whether to go in on him. Szoboszlai's thinking, do I drop as deep as that centre-half position? But then they're creating a 5 at the back. shots. It's a fascinating battle between those two players because Liverpool don't play as a three anymore. They play essentially as a four up top, and Szoboszlai just plays right off the shoulder of Diogo Jota in that situation. But interestingly now, Liverpool have just switched the two players, and Diogo Jota's come out to this right-hand side, and Salah's gone through the middle.
That's the voice of Stephen Warnock, formerly of Liverpool, England international, of course, who's with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live. We're also available on the BBC Sounds app, as well as the World Service. It is 0-0 here at Wembley Stadium. We've been playing for 11 minutes. The ball is back with Pope. Forward to Cher. And Cher goes out to that right-hand side for Trippier. And it was blocked by Luis Diaz, and it'll go for a Newcastle throw midway through their own half on that far side. For a Newcastle United team that has certainly made an encouraging start, it's fair to say, in these opening 12 minutes. Back with Byrne, called up, of course, for the first time by Thomas Tuchel to the England squad on Friday. He'll be playing back here on this coming Friday against Albania. We'll have that game for you on BBC Radio 5 Live as Diaz finds Gravenberch, bit of space on the halfway line. Konate inside the centre circle, goes back out wide to Robertson. McAllister makes the run ahead of him, tries to get it down the line towards Jota. As Luis Diaz on that occasion had come central.
Yeah, I think there was a few Liverpool fans and people in the media were looking at the Liverpool lineup today, wondering whether Curtis Jones might have started in that midfield role alongside Gravenberch, and McAllister might have had a rest, but such is the magnitude of the game that he wants that experienced player in there. McAllister just keeps ticking things along nicely, but he's just been a little bit off the pace so far in this game.
Guimaraes tried to get Barnes through the middle with a through ball, but it was blocked. It's picked up by Bruno Guimaraes. Square ball to the right-hand side. Trippier to Murphy, midway through the Newcastle half, invites Tonali to come forward, striding his way into the midfield, holds off Szoboszlai. Referee says there was no foul there on Sandro Tonali. When he was at Brescia before he moved to Milan, he was heavily linked with Liverpool, the Italian, earlier on in his career. Sandro Tonali.
A quality player, you can see that in abundance. He's got athleticism. I think that was the one thing I was wondering about, was can he adapt to the Premier League? Well, he's certainly been able to do that.
Quansah out to Salah on this near side, the right. Salah now will come in field. Takes a deflection off the legs of Livramento. Guimaraes, it was a heavy first touch. They tried to keep the ball, and they will get a free kick. In fact, the flag was up. There's an offside there, I think, Luis Diaz. Free kick to Newcastle.
Diogo Jota just coming from an offside position and then makes the foul on the Newcastle player. It's Guimaraes, isn't it, who's gone down holding his chest. He must have just landed a little bit awkwardly or taken an elbow to the chest as Diogo Jota tried to step across him.
Well, they're in no real hurry to take it at the moment, Cher. It's Pope who just has a word in his look hole as he now backpedals towards the D of his penalty area. Haven't mentioned Alexander-Arnold too many occasions so far in this opening almost quarter of an hour. There's Joel Linton back with Byrne. It's hit left-footed. Quansah, sun shining here in North London. Loose ball picked up by Livramento. Quansah though gets the challenge, catches Livramento. Guimaraes in field. Murphy looks to turn. Murphy will shoot. Trippier was making good ground to his right, and I'm not sure, Isaac, whether he actually saw Trippier, because his first motion was just to try and get the shot away.
It was a straight touch forward, and he was always going to shoot there. Maybe he could have gone over to Trippier, but to be fair, 25 yards out early on, why not?
Stephen?
Oh, it's a great effort, wasn't it? But I was just looking at the challenge from Jarell Quansah as it came in on Livramento. There was the Newcastle players got off the bench, and Eddie Howe was up as well, and Jason Tyndall. They felt like the studs were high from Jarell Quansah on Livramento, but thought it was a real honest challenge from both players.
Full time in the Rugby League. Ian Chisnell.
Lee Leopards 62, Batley Bulldogs 4, Lee running in 12 tries to seal their expected place in the Challenge Cup quarterfinals. Tufel, Lamb, Brandon Hanley, McIntosh, Newey, Davies, Penny and Trout, Robbie Butterworth cost for a game. Batley. It finished Lee 62, Batley 4.
Thanks, Ian. This is 5 Live, the World Service and BBC Sounds at Wembley Stadium, where it is 0-0. McAllister, just a gentle jog, and then Luis Diaz will give it back to the World Cup winner, the Argentine international. Van Dijk back with McAllister with a short diagonal ball. temporary black and white striped shirt back inside their own half. Here is Konate. Quansah goes into that inverted role from right back. Salah is the one providing the width on this near side. Gravenberch back towards Konate. Newcastle United keeping their shape, quite happy to allow Liverpool to have the ball, it would seem, in this area of the field. Livramento again closes down Salah, strokes it back. Gravenberch's on the halfway line.
Yeah, interestingly, Virgil van Dijk, as that passage of play started, he was like, just get some passes in, just gesturing to the players, just take the pressure, the sting out the game and keep the ball for a couple of minutes. And now we're starting to see Newcastle retreat.
Here is McAllister. Van Dijk wants Robertson to go on ahead of him as he passes the ball to Luis Diaz over on that far side. Diaz again waits, passes it to Robertson, gives it back towards the Colombian. Szoboszlai's on the edge of the area. Jota lurks. Quansah again has joined the attack. McAllister loses out to Joelinton. Potential break on. Barnes was away, but they were unable to get it to him, and the referee is going to give a free kick. I think he tried to let the game flow, tried to play the advantage. Instead, it'll be a free kick to Newcastle, still goalless.
Yeah, Liverpool trying to be patient in possession, but Newcastle being patient out of possession, just waiting for that lapse of concentration, that poor touch. It came from McAllister, and two midfielders snapping away at McAllister. First initially it was Guimaraes, and then he was followed up by the big Brazilian Joelinton, who absolutely smashed into McAllister. He was just too slow to the situation, McAllister.
When they met 19 days ago in the league and Liverpool won by 2-0, Newcastle didn't lay a glove on Liverpool on that occasion. They certainly made the impact there with that Joelinton tackle. Here is Tonali on the edge of the area to the Brazilian who we've just been talking about. His cross takes the deflection, loops in the air, and Kelleher, all in green, catches it and then just rolls it out underarm towards Jota. But Tonali makes ground to try and close him down and hold up that run as he then lays it off to Robertson. Robertson's ball inside. Diaz, 10 yards inside his own half. Ball is cut back towards Robertson. 18 minutes played, still no goals. Full time in the Rugby Union though, Adam Whitty.
Gloucester Hartbury are the champions of England for a third straight year. They've beaten Saracens 34-19 at the Stonex in the PWR final. 29 unanswered points in a brilliant comeback win. Sean Lynn gets his perfect farewell before taking up the Wales women's job. Full time, Gloucester Hartbury 34, Saracens 19. Gloucester Hartbury get the three-peat.
It's a tight contest.
It is, and we're just starting to see now the tactical side of the game and just which players are going to switch off. There's a bit of rotation just down in front of us now where Quansah's now making an underlapping run. Salah's isolating Livramento on the right hand side, and Gravenberch drops back into that right back position, and the Newcastle players are just struggling to know who should pick up who.
Cher looked for a long ball to get Isak in behind Van Dijk. It was dealt with by the Liverpool captain. Robertson now head down, can run forward, makes good ground far side the left. Diaz just about keeps the ball in play. He's 30 yards out from goal. Passes the ball just slightly backward of square towards McAllister. And every Liverpool player is in the Newcastle half. And this now is Gravenberch to Konate in the centre circle. Finds Salah. Szoboszlai's on the inside of him. Now he makes that run in behind Livramento. Delivers a low ball into the box first time. Looking for Jota, but Cher was alive. And he cleared it out of play for a throw.
Yeah, that's the first time we're seeing Liverpool getting behind, and it was that rotation to get Mohamed Salah on the ball. Szoboszlai makes the underlapping run. It allows him to get in, but a low hard ball into the middle. Diogo Jota hadn't gambled on it. Easily dealt with by Newcastle.
Robertson. Jota's downward header on the edge of the area. Cher will clear it just before Luis Diaz could control it. Murphy now picks it up for Newcastle United. Little dink ball forward to Guimaraes. Tries to hold off the attentions of Gravenberch with his strength and does well. His forward ball will take a deflection. Newcastle get a corner far side the right, 0-0.
Yeah, he did well there, Gravenberch, because he had a little tug on the shoulder of Guimaraes a couple of times, but he just slowed him down. It allowed Van Dijk to recover into position. Tries to deliver that ball into the box, can't get it past the man mountain that is Virgil van Dijk, but it is a corner to Newcastle.
You always felt that the first goal in this final would be key. And Newcastle United are in no hurry to take the corner kick, as it is not Tonali who's gone over that far side. Murphy, isn't it, to take the corner on the right. Biding his time, waiting, looking for the good connection. Isak then makes himself available to take it short, back towards Murphy, and there was a foul from Isak on Jota. Free kick to Liverpool.
Well, they switched off ever so slightly before from a free kick, Liverpool. This time they didn't switch off. Diogo Jota, he read the situation, he knew exactly what Isak wanted to do, got in front of him, a little tug on the shoulder from Isak, just allowed Jota to go to ground. But what I did like about that corner was, so often you see corners and set pieces and everyone rushes across to take them, and you want to get on with it really quickly. What you need to do when you're a corner taker is a set piece taker. Relax when you get across there, take your time, get yourself set, compose yourself, and then set things up right in the middle of the pitch.
I think the Newcastle supporters have been cheering because on the giant screens, I can only imagine that during that they've been showing the famous Newcastle supporters in the ground. So we had Anton Deck, and then we had a certain Alan Shearer, who was showing much to the amusement of the Newcastle fans. Header forward by Van Dijk. This is Jota on the edge of the area. Burns header. Trippier will see it back towards Nick Pope. We're midway through the first half. It's BBC Radio 5 Live. It's the League Cup final. It's still Liverpool 0, Newcastle 0. And to take you through to half-time is our correspondent John Murray.
Well, thank you, Ian. Yes, and what was slightly discombobulating was that Ant and Deck were not actually standing together.
Did that throw you, did it, John?
It did.
Not used to that.
I then wasn't sure which was which.
Which is left and which is
Well,
right.
exactly. So it's Liverpool 0, Newcastle 0, and it is truly vibrant inside Wembley Stadium on a lovely March spring afternoon, lots of sunshine, and here's Kwanzaa, who carries the ball forward in the absence of Alexander-Arnold and Bradley as well, of course, young Bradley, both on the injured list. So Jarrell Kwanzaa again in the England squad, named by Thomas Tuchel on Friday, who plays at right back. But Newcastle now, as Liverpool have lost possession. Barnes to Isak, left side of the box, had to just hold it up near the dead ball line. Barnes has taken a tumble on the edge of the box. Isak back to Tonali. Tonali trying to find a position, and shoots narrowly wide of Kelleher's left post as the Liverpool goalkeeper dropped to his knees. I did wonder whether that was just bending in, but it bent just wide.
He looked very comfortable, didn't he, Kelleher, in the Liverpool goal. He always felt like he was going past that left post of his, but it was a mistake from Konate at the back. A simple header back to Kelleher would have rectified the situation. He tries to just nod that ball into midfield, and credit to Isak and Barnes. They attack Liverpool like a flash. We saw that in midweek against Paris Saint-Germain, where Liverpool were the architects of their own downfall.
Stephen Warnock with us in our Wembley commentary box here. Stephen, England defender, former Liverpool player, and we also have Isaac Hayden as well, the Newcastle United midfielder, who we'll hear from again in a moment. But it is Liverpool 0, Newcastle 0. Long pass forward, Shea got his head to it, then Trippier very calmly heads it back, even though Luis Diaz was effectively in between Trippier and Pope. Trippier headed it precisely back to his goalkeeper.
Yeah, he's done that 2 or 3 times now. Lovely ball down the right for Newcastle.
Here's one for Murphy to chase now into the full-back position. The cross comes in, and Konate had to hoik it up and over his own crossbar because Isak was behind him. He was in the 6-yard box. Excellent break.
Brilliant from Jacob Murphy, just playing on the shoulder of Andrew Robertson. I'm coming short, then I'm going long. The ball over the top is inch perfect, and he didn't have to break his stride. First time ball into the box. Credit to Isak, he's trying to get on the end of it. Brilliant defending from Konate. He matched him stride for stride, unlike he did against Paris Saint-Germain, against them on Tuesday night.
So it's another set piece, and Newcastle set pieces here already in the opening 25 minutes have caught the eye. They played on Monday. They've clearly been working on this since this cup final. Trippier's corner played into the river. Burn on the turn. Kelleher comes out and does extremely well along the dead ball line. Threw himself down at the feet of the Newcastle man. It was Bruno Guimaraes, wasn't it, on the right side of the 6-yard box, and Kelleher came out and smothered it and cut off the danger.
No, didn't he just, John? How quick was he? Alisson-like, training every day with the Brazilian goalkeeper. That's something he's definitely picked up off him.
Liverpool on the attack. McAllister curls one into the Newcastle penalty area, but onto the head of Livramento, who got up well, headed it down, and it's out of play for a Liverpool throw on the right. Liverpool 0, Newcastle United 0 in this 2025 Carabao Cup final here at Wembley Stadium. As we look out here, the stadium very clearly divided, black and white, and it is unmistakably black and white to the right, whereas the red of Liverpool to the left. Just over 30,000 tickets each. As Ian Dennis was mentioning earlier, not quite as many tickets as there used to be for each set of supporters for this League Cup final, and that is concerning for the various fan groups who've made their point. Canate has the ball at the back. Now here's Kwanzaa. Oh, and that's a heavy touch from Kwanzaa. Isak was in. Canate then slides in and gets an important tackle, a brilliantly judged tackle on Isak to sweep it away from him. Otherwise, Newcastle's top scorer would have been away.
He just got caught in two minds there, Gerald Kwanzaa. He wanted to find Virgil van Dijk, and credit to Isak, he just cut that space up and then got caught in between the pass and whether to go back to the goalkeeper. Isak was on him like a flash, but credit to Canate, he recovered that position extremely well.
As up go the Geordie scarves again, thousands and thousands of them, black and white, held above the heads horizontally of the Newcastle United supporters, who, as you may be aware, have not won a major trophy since 1969, the Intercities Fairs Cup, and not won one of the big three domestic English titles for 70 years, since the FA Cup final here when Jackie Milburn scored after 45 seconds back in 1955. Luis Diaz for Liverpool, the holders of this title. Record 10 times winners. Diaz fouled, middle of the Newcastle half, free kick to them.
Yeah, did well there, Diaz. He just held off Jacob Murphy, and then as he accelerated it away, Trippier thought he could win the challenge, and he just toe-poked it through his legs. Trippier gives away the free kick centrally. It's a poor free kick earlier on from McAllister. Now can he set this one up properly?
Liverpool 0, Newcastle 0. You're listening to it with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service. We're going to go to the Dundee derby in a moment, but obviously Liverpool have got this free kick in a dangerous position, midway inside the Newcastle half. So just wait for Dundee news. As Liverpool play it in, Robertson takes a flick off a Newcastle head, bounces down. Salah is going to see it out of play for Liverpool's first corner of the match. But the news from Tayside is Gavin Wallace.
That Dundee have got a fourth goal. Adamayiga was sent off for a push on Simon Murray. The boy that celebrated his 33rd birthday yesterday stood up, cool as you like, and put it into the bottom left-hand corner. Dundee United 2, Dundee 4.
And earlier, Rangers winning at Celtic Park with Iggerman's late winner. Corner then for Liverpool. Robertson to take this. Just down to our right, in front of all of those Newcastle fans behind him. Robertson curls it in left-footed, and Joe Linton was there in the 6-yard box to head it back out towards the corner taker. Robertson takes on Murphy, who stabs a foot at the ball and puts it out for a throw.
Yeah, brilliant from Joe Linton. That position of that near post, cannot let anything go under that crossbar, allow it to be a challenge between a Liverpool player and Nick Pope. He averts that danger. He's so good in that position.
As Liverpool take the throw back to the halfway line. And that's the final whistle with you now, Gavin Wallace.
It is indeed, John. Dundee United 2, Dundee 4. For the first time since 2004, Dundee win at Tannadice, Wilson, McGee, Tiffany and Murray. That last-minute penalty, all the drama you need. Middleton, Chapinovsky scoring for Dundee. Dundee United 2, Dundee 4.
Well, that sounded like a thriller, and it's Liverpool coming forward. Diaz, and Pope outside the penalty area makes the challenge. Good tackle. I did wonder for a moment whether he was going to take out Diaz there. Actually, the offside flag is then raised by the assistant down in front of us, Eddie Smart, and it's a free kick to Newcastle.
Yeah, Nick Pope wasn't to know that it was offside. He reads the situation. He's so quick and alert out of his penalty area. He's probably a yard offside, Diaz. Pope does extremely well, because not only is he alert, he's also brave to the situation, because the players clatter into each other.
Full time as well in the WSL. Tottenham, Brighton, Emily Herbert.
Brighton pick up their first win against Tottenham on the road by 1-0, but my goodness, was it a boring game. Two halves of poor quality. Spurs with 0 shots on target, and Brighton's only big chance was Frank Kirby toe-poking a rebound into the net from close range. Brighton go 5th, Spurs stay 7th. Full time, Tottenham 0, Brighton 1.
Newcastle on the attack down the left-hand side, and they've got a corner now as well, won by Livramento, corner from the left.
Newcastle look sharper, they look quicker to the second ball, they They look hungrier than Liverpool at the moment. Canate there just trying to use his strength. So often it's his downfall because he is so strong. He tries to show that off at times, and this time he was beaten to the ball and had to put it out for a corner.
So let's see what Newcastle have got to offer this time. They've not scored a goal in a Wembley Cup final since 1976. Trippier takes the corner, headed away by Van Dijk on the edge of the 6-yard box, comes out to Tonali, back to Trippier, right-footed ball, lifted in, Kelleher comes into a crowd of players, they buffet one another, and I think the free kick's been given to Kelleher, free kick to Liverpool.
Big Dan Burn going in for the challenge with Kelleher. He didn't look too convincing. I think he looked out the corner of his eye and saw who it was and knew that he had to get something on it. Might have just got a little away with one there, Kelleher, with the referee giving him the benefit of the doubt. It might have just been a free kick.
Liverpool take the goal kick short. 0-0 the score. And shouts from the Liverpool supporters after the challenge on Diaz on the far side by Trippier. John Brooks, the referee, spotted it, just waited to see if an advantage was going to develop. It was on the halfway line. Trippier has been called across by John Brooks. Diaz is okay, he's just getting back to his feet. John Brooks is taking his time here, and players are milling around. Kieran Trippier is having his say, and just waiting to see whether this is going to be a final warning, strong ticking off, or whether there will be a card. And I'm inclined to think that there's not going to be a card.
No, and I like that referee, and I think if you're going to referee the game like that, then you've got to be consistent with that. And if there is other fouls within the game, you're going to have to continue that. Trippier just leans into Diaz. I thought it might just be a totting up process because he has given away a couple of fouls.
Yeah, free kick taken downfield by Van Dijk. It bounces off Robertson. Both Trippier and Robertson are claiming for it, and referee Brooks says the final touch is off the Liverpool man. Yes, that was one of those challenges, Stephen, wasn't it, where Diaz was off the ground. Trippier gave him a nudge, the sort of thing that when he was at Atletico Madrid, Diego Simeone might have said, what you might want to consider is...
just leaving a little bit on him, just making it very difficult, an awkward landing for him.
Or alternatively, maybe he learned that before he went to Atletico.
Quite possibly.
Liverpool 0,
You cynical man, John.
Liverpool 0, Newcastle 0. Dan Burn causing problems at the other end. I enjoyed Thomas Tuchel's line the other day when he said, yes, Dan Burn is very, very tall, but he is easily overlooked. Here is Barnes. Barnes into the full-back position. Barnes onto his left foot, lifts it over to the back post to stretch. Isak with a header. Hits Robertson. Trippier with a drive, but that's deflected away and behind for another Newcastle corner.
And he doesn't know much about this, Andrew Robertson. He tries to deal with the situation at the back post, but he's got his back to the Newcastle player. He hasn't got his body open, and as the header comes in, it just ricochets off the back of Andrew Robertson. And then as it falls again to a Newcastle player, Trippier, he strikes the ball. Robertson turns his back on it. It hits the back of his leg and goes out for another corner. All Newcastle pressure.
Newcastle have gone all out in this first 35 minutes, but are yet to find a breakthrough. Here it is. Burn heads it down. Took a deflection, but Kelleher was able to drop to his right. That deflection took the pace off it, actually, and it bounced for Kelleher to drop to his knees and gather the ball.
Yeah, it was such a difficult one for Dan Burn because the flight of the ball from Kieran Trippier, Dan Burn's got to try and generate as much power as he can to get the ball back across the goal, and then it's Guimaraes with the header. He can't quite get the purchase on it as it comes into him, but he was free in the middle of the goal. Big opportunity.
Yeah, just sort of, he tried to get something on it, but it just really glanced off his head. Guimaraes from the second header after Burn's initial header. Liverpool 0, Newcastle 0. Newcastle without the suspended Anthony Gordon, who must really be ruining this as I haven't seen him here. I don't know whether you saw him when you were down on the touchline a little bit earlier. I presume he will be here.
I'm sure he will, but I haven't seen him, Joe.
No. Actually, Maz Faruqi is down there just behind the Newcastle bench. I don't know whether you've seen hide and a hair of Anthony Gordon, Maz?
No, I've just tipped my head over, actually. I'm just behind the Newcastle bench, John. Can't see Anthony Gordon. I keep my eye out. But the best way I can describe Eddie Howe at the moment on the touchline, he is fizzing, jumping around, almost fell into the hoardings when that Newcastle chance flashed wide. He is living every second of this final at the moment, the Newcastle boss.
Yes, Eddie Howe looking to become the first English manager to win one of England's top domestic trophies since Harry Redknapp won the FA Cup here with Portsmouth in 2008, and in this competition Steve McLaren with Middlesbrough back in 2004. Trophies very thin on the ground over the course of recent decades for English managers. It's the Englishman against the Dutchman Arne Slot. Here's Trippier with a free kick for Newcastle, fires it high towards the back post, then it's played back in towards the edge of the area. Joe Linton, Shea lifts the ball to the edge of the box, McAllister heads it down, still 0-0 at Wembley. Then Salah turns and plays the ball forward. Oh, that's a short header back from Murphy. Pope comes and heads it above Szoboszlai out of the penalty area, and he was fortunate there that it dropped to a Newcastle player. Pope committed himself. That's not the first time he's done that in this match, rather in the manner that he did when he ended up 2 years ago being suspended for the final when he clattered into Salah in the Premier League match.
Yeah, I thought he did extremely well again there. Pope read the situation. A poor header from Murphy, just judged the strength of the header back to his goalkeeper incorrectly. But here come Liverpool.
Salah now down the right hand side for Gravenberch, who's on the surge, and Kwanzaa, who's on the surge, but Newcastle with Joe Linton and Livramento together, they do the job on him and win a free kick as well.
Monster of a player, Joe Linton, an absolute monster. Just eats the ground up and you feel like, I'm getting away from him, and he just claws that ground back. Then he's got that big strong arm across the chest. Then he's got that big thighs as well to make sure that he's got the strength to hold the player off as well. And he turns round and he just chees up the fans as well, as if they need cheering up.
Yes, and very much out of the modern playbook of celebrating wildly with the supporters when you make a defensive tackle. Liverpool 0, Newcastle 0. You heard that Lee Leopards won in the Challenge Cup, won well against Batley. The other full-time score, Huddersfield 12, Wakefield Trinity 22 in the Rugby League Challenge Cup. And there is a choice of listening right now, by the way. The golf started early, just in case you didn't catch that earlier. If you were late up this morning, an early start to the final round of the Players' Championship, and Rory McIlroy is in front. Last time we heard, the commentary is over on Sports Extra. Now there's been a clash of heads. Joe Linton's involved in that as well. Szoboszlai has gone down clutching his head, and there's another Newcastle man down there as well. So we've got 3 players on the ground, and we'll probably have a stoppage here while all the various protocols are observed.
Yeah, I think there was a clash of heads between Szoboszlai and Tonali as they went for the second header. The first initial header was Konate and Joe Linton tried to back into Konate, and then they fell on top of each other. That's why Joe Linton is down. Just a little bit of a break for the players to catch their breath.
Yeah, that's Stephen Warnock sitting just to my right, sitting 2 seats to my right is Isaac Hayden. Don't know whether, Isaac, you these days celebrate defensive challenges in the midfield like Joe Linton did just now, do you?
Maybe not as much as that, but as I said, that's what Joe Linton's in there for. I said that before the game, you know, his physicality. His strength, his off-the-ball work is fantastic. But as you've seen going forwards, he's good at linking up play as well. And as I said, the midfield battle is going to be always so important, and I feel like Newcastle are on top today.
Yeah, and generally Newcastle in these first, nearly 40 minutes now?
Yeah, they've just been a second sharper to the ball. You can see that they're a little bit hungrier underneath it, and Liverpool have been a little bit sloppy at times. And Newcastle are going man for man from goal kicks, and they're being very, very brave.
Everyone's up, okay, Liverpool take it downfield, the ball bounces up, hits Trippier, Diaz is saying it struck Trippier's arm inside the penalty area. I don't think John Brooks, the referee, is going to have anything to do with that. There is VAR, by the way, just to underline that. Would be in stadium announcements again, should it come to it, as are being trialled in the League Cup this season, long and forward from Van Dijk, but that'll bounce all the way through to Nick Pope. Don't think there was any question of a handball and a penalty.
No, it looked very natural from Kieran Trippier as the ball was played inside, just a normal running motion, so be very surprised if that had been brought back. But very interestingly there, Virgil van Dijk, just without any pressure on him, looking to play long, and it's just a little bit too easy for Newcastle at the moment.
Yeah, but Gravenberch trying to counter that. That was a very physical challenge between Gravenberch and Joe Linton. They were like the proverbial rutting stags, weren't they, together, those two? And referee played the advantage as Jota just stabs the ball into the area, and out comes Pope. And again, Trippier did very well there, just put his body in the way of Diaz and just stopped him getting to it.
Yeah, almost a stomp at the feet from Luis Diaz, because he felt he'd got the wrong side of Kieran Trippier, and a heavy ball from Diogo Jota into his path. But just a little bit of a concern here for Newcastle. Kieran Trippier, after that challenge, has just been stretching it, whether it's his thigh or his groin. He started this game extremely well. They won't want to lose him.
No, they wouldn't. With the injuries that they've got, no Lewis Hall, which has been a loss. He's really impressed this season. I thought he did very well for the most part against Salah in the league match a couple of weeks ago when Liverpool really won comfortably that night. Remember, a 3-3 draw before Christmas. Really a real thriller. Share now with a long pass forward to the left-hand side. Livramento, the auxiliary left back. Livramento up against Quanta to the corner of the penalty area. Right-footed ball over Isak and bouncing all the way through for a goal kick. And it is still 0-0 with half-time approaching. Newcastle have certainly knocked at the door without having Liverpool sort of pinned on the rack. But to what extent, we talked about it before the match, Stephen, you know what, to what extent are we seeing a bit of a hangover from Liverpool from Tuesday night?
Yeah, quite possibly. I think you're just seeing that from the sharpness of the players, just that getting caught on the ball a little bit too much at times from a Liverpool point of view, perhaps not being as brave on the ball, trusting each other in situations. But is that because of they know the press of Newcastle and how strong that midfield is? And that's their biggest strength.
Newcastle on the move again. Have more on Rory McIlroy at half-time from Ian Carter, who is at the course in Florida. And then tonight, big news tonight with Jack Draper in the final of Indian Wells. You will hear that on Sports Extra tonight from around about 9 o'clock. And there will be a 606 tonight, but not until 9 o'clock with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, because there is still more live Premier League commentary on 5 Live tonight. Leicester against Manchester United from 7 o'clock. It's never ending this weekend. Started early with the Australian Grand Prix in the early hours, and will still be going until, well, probably tomorrow morning. Here's Pope, just outside of his penalty area, long and right-footed. Van Dijk heads it into the centre circle. Tonali now to Bruno Guimaraes. There's Murphy on the right-hand side, the Wembley-born Newcastle United supporter. Deep cross from him right across the penalty area, and Barnes can't keep it in. Bounced awkwardly, and in the end, running after it, he could only pat it down, and it's a goal kick to Liverpool. And we've got 90 seconds of the first 45 minutes to go.
If I was a Newcastle fan, I'd be delighted with what I've seen from the team in the first half, with the notable exception of no goal. And I think the concern is that Liverpool will get better in the second half. So many times this season we've seen Liverpool become a second half team with the changes that they make at half time, the improvements that they make, and you just feel that the way this first half has gone, that Newcastle almost needed to capitalise on that.
Liverpool so far, no attempts on goal.
Very surprising. But Newcastle have played very well, and they've nullified everything that Liverpool have done. It made it very difficult for them to find forward passes into Salah and into Diaz.
And whoever is directing the television operations, as Trippier takes this free kick to the edge of the Liverpool box, it's taken on into the area. Then the shot is hit on the left foot by Harvey Barnes, which flicks off the Liverpool defender and behind, and it's yet another Newcastle United corner. I think that's 6 in the first half now.
They've got to make one of these count, haven't they, Newcastle? Again, trying to set things up. Liverpool are crowded within that 6-yard box, and a lot of the Newcastle players now on the edge of the box and holding out at the back post as well.
45 minutes are almost up. What a good time to score a goal this would be for Newcastle. Trippier takes the corner, it's headed by Burn! It's in! Dan Burn's got it! Oh, that's the story! What a few days for Dan Burn this is! Thomas Tuchel called him up on Friday, and on the Sunday, this Newcastle United supporter has become the first man to score in a cup final at Wembley for his team since 1976, and it's Newcastle who strike first blood. Liverpool 0, Newcastle 1, and Dan Burn is so pumped up. He's run away from all of his teammates, he's come back into his own half, and he's punching the sky towards those Newcastle fans. What a story that is.
Oh, quite brilliant from Newcastle's point of view, but how well worked is this? Kieran Trippier with the ball to the back post. It's a great header from Dan Burn, but there's question marks about Liverpool's marking. Why is Alexis McAllister, the smallest player on the Liverpool team, picking up the biggest player on the pitch in Dan Burn? Praveen Kelleher, does he think it's going round his post? He almost pulls his arm away, but take nothing away from the quality of the ball from Kieran Trippier, and take nothing away from the quality of the header from Dan Burn. Newcastle 1-0, and deservedly so.
Well, that's the goal that Newcastle United supporters have waited decades to see and hear and experience. And boy, oh boy, are they enjoying it. Looking to my right now, in amongst all of those black and white striped shirts and black and white striped scarves that are being twirled above their heads, it's absolute away the lads. 3 tiers of Wembley Stadium. 1-0 Newcastle lead. 1-0 against the Premier League leaders, Liverpool, who now have got big questions being asked of them in the week that they were knocked out of the Champions League by Paris Saint-Germain. Cher blasts it away downfield. That was happy for him to see that go anywhere, and has bounced out of play for a throw-in halfway inside the Liverpool half. We've got Isaac Hayden just sitting to the right here as well. What a moment for Newcastle United that was to witness, Isaac.
What a great header as well, right in the far corner. Goalkeeper had absolutely no chance. I think the key now, obviously, get to half-time, the 1-0 victory at half-time, and as I said, second half, just make sure that we don't sink.
Well, it just feels there for Burn to score that goal. It feels like the fates have intervened. Here's Salah. Salah now to the edge of the penalty area. Oh, left-footed ball across, headed down. Jota shoots wide. Snatched at it when it came to him. 8 yards out. And with the trotted volley, it really didn't threaten the Newcastle goal. And there's the half-time whistle. Listen to this. Those are jaunty voices inside Wembley Stadium who've just watched their team take the lead in a cup final. Only half the job done though, Stephen Warner.
Yeah, a superb half of football from Newcastle on the front foot. They've challenged extremely well. They've been physical against this Liverpool team. They've been well organised. They've made it difficult for Liverpool to play forward. But also on the attack, they've been inventive. They've been getting shots away at goal. The creativity in corners and set pieces has been outstanding from Newcastle. Liverpool not at the races, and you've got to capitalise on that. Credit to Newcastle, they did that. A magnificent goal right at the end of the first half. It couldn't have ended any better for Newcastle at the end of that half.
Well, before the match, the Newcastle United supporters unfurled that big banner which had the storybook on it. And what a storybook we've got with Dan Burn scoring with his header in added time at the end of the first half. And just to underline it for Dan Burn, this is 32-year-old Dan Burn, who I have to confess, I thought, well, international football has passed him by. Friday morning, he's named by Thomas Tuchel in the England squad. Today he plays for his boyhood team at Wembley in a cup final and scores. Tomorrow he'll be going to St George's Park to join up with the England team, and then he might be playing here for England over the course of the next week and a half.
It's really the Rover stuff, isn't it? It absolutely is, and credit to him, because I think there was a period as well this season, and perhaps a little bit of last season, where Newcastle fans were saying it's time to move on from Dan Burn if we want to progress as a football club. But Dan's proved everyone wrong, because he's that type of person. I played with Dan at Wigan, I understand his mentality, how he is. He doesn't let little things set him back. It's, right, okay, how do I get better? How do I improve? That's how you answer people back, by getting in the England squad, by working harder. And the people who know Dan and have been in and around him couldn't be happier for him, because he deserves that success.
Yeah, if you're listening to 5 Live this afternoon and you push trolleys in Asda, just think what you might be capable of. Half-time here at Wembley, Liverpool 0, Newcastle United 1.
Well, the last Newcastle fan to score in a major cup final would have been Jackie Milburn from Ashington in 1955. 8 miles south is where you find Blythe, Dan Burn's hometown. Just imagine what is happening in Blythe right now. Let's just go down pitch side. I would love to know, Maz Faruqi, what the face of Dan Burn was doing when he walked down that tunnel in front of you.
I mean, he really looked game face on. I think the sense that you get from the Newcastle players, of course, is that they know the job is only half done. Really interesting to see that once it was bedlam on the bench when that ball hit the back of the net, and the substitutes racing onto the pitch to celebrate with the Newcastle players. But Jason Tindall then just turning around, looking at everyone, making that calm down gesture, palms outstretched. Job only half done, and certainly look at the face of Dan Burn as he trotted down the tunnel just to my left. He knows that as well when he went in at half time.
I mean, the face of Isaac Hayden was quite a picture as well, when not just when the ball went in the back of the net, but when it quickly became clear who would put it there.
Yeah, I mean, it was special, absolutely special. I mean, you couldn't write it for Dan, it couldn't be any better for that first half. I thought that Newcastle were really, really brave, really front-footed, especially pressing Liverpool from goal kicks. You know, it was man for man at the back, and they almost 3 for 3, but they defended so well. I mean, even Trippier's experience, there was a few headers that were, you know, on another day, it could be tricky on this bouncy pitch and quick pitch, and he headed them back to Nick Pope to relieve pressure. And you know, Newcastle just looked that extra 1% quicker than Liverpool, and as I said, it's only half time, but hopefully that can continue in the second half.
John, I just want to say, listening to your commentary there, you know, you talk about scripts and all that kind of thing. In years to come, people will listen back to that and think that it was done after the fact, because you went, what a time to score this would be. And sure enough.
Yeah, well, that's sometimes how it works out, isn't it? And incidentally, just for the record, talking about Newcastle fans scoring in a cup final, in that 76 cup final, when Alan Gowling was the last man to score for Newcastle United in a major final, if you remember, the winning goal was scored by an overhead kick from Dennis Stewart, who was a Newcastle fan. So a Newcastle fan has scored against them in a cup final.
Fair. Right, let's go back to the Players' Championship. Golf, Ian Carter.
Rory McIlroy at the top of the leaderboard, but frustrated because the storms have rolled in, Steve, and play has been suspended. That just after McIlroy birdied the par 5 11th to move to 12 under par. He's one ahead of JJ Spawn, who is in a bunker on the 11th after his second shot into that par 5. He's in the group just behind, but it's McIlroy 12 under par, Spawn 11 under par, and then you've got Hoagie on the 18th at 10 under, Akshay Bhatia at 10 under, and Danny Walker at 10 under. Bob McIntyre's had a great day today as well. He'll resume on the 15th at 8 under par in a share of 7th place, but McIlroy the hot favourite here as and when we get a resumption in play.
Cannot wait for the second half of this League Cup final. Newcastle 1, Liverpool 0 at the break. We will bring it to you. Doesn't matter how long it goes, how far it goes, we'll be here. Then we'll have Leicester-Manchester United in full on 5 Live after we're done with the League Cup final. Already today in the Premier League, Arsenal 1, Chelsea. Fulham 2, Tottenham 0. We'll bring you reaction to that and the rest of the day's sport, and then we'll be back underway here at Wembley. Let's get the news on 5 Live with Carl Hartley.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. The Prime Minister of North Macedonia has described the 59 deaths in a fire at a nightclub as a difficult and very sad day for the country. It's thought fireworks set off as a band performed on stage might be to blame. This man, Dragi Straganoth, lost his son in the fire.
It's my only child, and he died. What am I supposed to do? They should all be punished and thrown down. Families have been devastated.
Today, the US launched air raids on Houthi positions. The Houthis say they'll hit back against the United States. And an appeal to raise money for a playground to commemorate the young girl stabbed to death in Southport last year has reached its £250,000 target. The playground at Churchtown Primary School is due to be completed by September.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction.
It's been 5 years since the UK went into lockdown during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Next week, we're taking a look at how the lockdowns changed our world.
We'll hear from families, carers, workers and people whose lives were turned upside down.
Speak to people who are still experiencing health problems 5 years on.
And ask what has been the long-term impact on businesses, the NHS and our schools.
I heard children playing and I stopped and I started to cry.
Lockdown's Legacy on BBC Radio 5 Live. This is 5 Live Sports.
With Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Great day of finals on 5 Live Sport here at Wembley Stadium. Half-time in the League Cup final. Newcastle leading Liverpool by a goal to nil. Gloucester Hartpury have won the PWR rugby final this afternoon as well. In tennis, Britain's Jack Draper is getting ready for the biggest final of his career. Later tonight, he faces Denmark's Holger Rune in the final at Indian Wells. There'll be commentary on 5 Sports Extra from 9 o'clock with correspondent Russell Fuller. We can bring Russell in now. Let's just start with how we got there. That win over the world number 1, Carlos Alcaraz, which had everything, Russ.
It did. The scoreline was preposterous, Steve. 6-1, love 6, 6-4 in Draper's favour. Very unusual scoreline in an ATP semi-final. And there was a VAR-style challenge as well in the crucial third game of the deciding set, in which Draper ultimately broke the Alcaraz serve. The umpire decided that he hadn't got to the ball before it bounced for the second time. He said, I got there, challenge. Umpire put on the headphones, looked at his tablet and ruled in Draper's favour. Then said the point should be replayed. Draper said, no, I won the point. Alcaraz missed the volley. The point should be mine. Again, the umpire looked at the tablet and once again ruled in Draper's favour. Now, whatever happens today, the British player will be a top 10 player come Monday morning, but he's not celebrating that just yet.
I want to end this week in a great way. I've obviously had a really good run, but it means a lot to me to try and win the tournament. And then we can think about the other stuff afterwards. Obviously, it's a huge achievement to me to be in the top 10 in my team, and we'll be very proud of that. But we want to keep going for more, and that's also really important as well. So proud of myself, but at the same time, I want to go for it.
That's Jack Draper. Russell, we've been talking all day about emotionally being ready for big finals here at Wembley. Newcastle weren't ready for the first one. They very much clearly are ready for this one. Do you think managing those emotions is going to be a big part of Jack Draper's build-up? Are there other things about facing Holger Rune which means he'll need to improve in different ways?
Managing his emotions during the match, Steve, I think is the biggest challenge for him today, because yesterday in the second set against Carlos Alcaraz, he started to become nervous and anxious, having won the first set so comfortably, and we've seen this before from him. He said he felt lethargic, his legs stopped working, his breathing became shallow, and he played a terrible second set, lost it 6-love, only to pull himself back together so well in the third. Rune is actually younger at 21, but has more experience. This is his 4th Masters final, and he's won one before in Paris in 2022. It's just that over the past 12 months, he's not been in the sort of form he produced in his late teens.
So 5 Sports Extra for that final tonight. You'll also have the women's final for us before that, Russell.
Yes, we're online, BBC Sport website and app from 6. World number 1, Arina Sabalenka against Mira Andreeva. Sabalenka trying to win Indian Wells for the first time and aid the process of recovering from losing that Australian Open final to Madison Keys so painfully. And 17-year-old Andreeva, who's already won a big title in Dubai this season, hoping to become the youngest female champion this century.
Russell, thank you very much indeed. So once we're done here at Wembley Stadium, we'll be bringing you commentary of Leicester against Manchester United in the Premier League. It's a 7 o'clock kick-off. Mike Miners at the King Power.
Yeah, good afternoon, Steve. Chilly and grey, King Power Stadium. Clouds gathering as well over Leicester's relegation fears. I think the stats are pretty damning. They've lost their last 6 home Premier League games, conceded 15 in those matches, and they haven't scored a single goal. They're 9 points adrift of safety as well after Wolves win at Southampton yesterday. As for Manchester United, domestically they're a disaster this season, but they did reach the Europa League quarter-finals in midweek. That might now be their only route back into Europe next season. Team news is going to be interesting in about a quarter of an hour or so. Will Ruud van Nistelrooy stick with the back three that saw improvements against Chelsea last time out? As for Manchester United, despite there being a concern over the goalkeeper Andre Onana with a late fitness test, I am expecting him to start.
Already today, Arsenal beat Chelsea 1-0 at the Emirates. They're 4 points clear of Nottingham Forest in second. After that, here's Mikel Arteta.
Very good. It's always a big match against a really good opposition. I really enjoyed analysing them and what Enzo is doing. And yeah, we won it. I think we deserve to win it as well because we didn't really concede nothing apart from that strange save from David. And yeah, we scored the goal and we should have scored many more because we had so many situations that they didn't even finish on a shot today. But the attitude of the team, I loved it.
It was a dominant performance. Are you happy with the win or frustrated that you couldn't get that second goal to really clinch it?
First of all, very happy with the win because I know we are playing against the best attacking team in the league, that's for sure. And the stats say that and everything that I've seen confirms it. So very difficult to deal everything that they do, the quality that they have. But we've done it and I think we deserve to win the game.
When you go into this 2-week break now, what will you get from that and how close will the likes of Bukayo Saka be to coming back after that international break?
Yes, hopefully if everything goes well in the next week or so, he will be very close. Now he needs people around, more uncertain training sessions and raise the level of competition and fitness, but hopefully he's going to be very close.
The other game finished Fulham 2, Tottenham 0. Rangers beat Celtic 3-2 in a thrilling Old Firm clash at Celtic Park. Here's Rangers boss Barry Ferguson.
Obviously delighted coming to such a tough place. We've not won here in 5 years. And that's something that I put to the players that we had to change, and certainly they've done that today. I thought Geraldine, in terms of the first half, I thought they were excellent. If I'd been picky, we could have scored a couple of more goals. We didn't. At half time, I told them that Celtic would make a couple of changes. I thought they made one change, obviously, but they would come at us a bit more. And then when you get into the final stages, they come back to 2 each again. I take a step back, and I think to the things that me and my staff have been on at the players for the last 3 weeks, you need a different side of your game to play at Rangers. And one of the big words is character. And they showed that.
That's the noise of Liverpool being welcomed back to the pitch by their supporters here at Wembley Stadium. Just heard from Barry Ferguson speaking to BBC Scotland in the WSL. Bottom side Crystal Palace beats second bottom Aston Villa 3-1 today. Palace just 1 point behind them now with 6 games to play. Brighton won 1-0 at Tottenham in the day's other game. The other big story of the day is Lando Norris winning the season opening Australian Grand Prix. There's more reaction to that on the Checkered Flag podcast. We're almost ready for the second half. Isaac Hayden, who's been with us this afternoon, how do Newcastle emotionally respond to that? Is it a good thing that they had half-time right off the back, actually?
Yeah, definitely, especially with that last chance that Liverpool had just before half-time. I think just to calm yourself down and regroup and get back to the game plan and start the second half as they did in the first half, on the front foot. And I think that's when Newcastle are at their best, when they're playing front-footed football. And as I said, it's just how long they can keep it up now in the second half.
OK, former Liverpool and England defender Stephen Warnock is with John Murray, and first Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Steve. Now the side has made a change as we're about to get underway, and what a massive 45 minutes lies ahead as the second half is about to start. Kelleher in goal for Liverpool, Quansah, Van Dijk, Konate and Robertson, McAllister, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai, Salah, Jota and Diaz. For Newcastle they have Pope in goal, a back four of Trippier, Cher, Byrne, Livramento, Tonali, Guimaraes and Joel Linton, Murphy, Isak and Harvey Barnes. Black and white striped shirts, black shorts for Newcastle United as they are playing from left to right, so they're attacking the west end of the Wembley Stadium where they're Newcastle United, the hordes of black and white supporters are away towards our right. Liverpool are all in red as Byrne powers his header forward. He scored here for Yeovil Town in a League One playoff final. That headed goal on the stroke of half-time will be played over and over and over again if it turns out to be the winning goal.
Well, it certainly will, and rightly so. No changes, as you say, at half-time from either team, but Liverpool certainly need a change in mentality, a change in belief going into this second half. From Newcastle's point of view, it's much of the same. Continue to put that pressure on Liverpool, to continue to play on them vulnerabilities that were certainly there in Liverpool's game in the first half.
And when John referenced Asda earlier on, the backstory is that Dan Byrne was rejected by Newcastle as a boy. He was stacking shelves, pushing trolleys at Asda before he went to Darlington. And what a remarkable few days it has been for Dan Burn. So Newcastle are ahead. How will Liverpool respond? Remember, under Arne Slot, they are yet to lose back-to-back matches as they aim to bounce back from that exit in the Champions League in midweek to Paris Saint-Germain. Kelleher all in green towards our right, along the ground towards McAllister. Around the corner he finds Van Dijk, who can run forward. Van Dijk's forward ball, Jota is onto it, left-hand side of the penalty area, back to Diaz, but Joel Linton, with a well-timed run, just came back and took it away off his toes. But Liverpool have taken the throw quickly on the left-hand side, and already they look to have a little bit more urgency about their players. McAllister, and now the Liverpool supporters find their voices. Van Dijk, what an intervention though from Joel Linton.
Yeah, all the talk before the game was about Guimaraes, and if Guimaraes turns up, then Liverpool will struggle in that midfield area. Give me Joel Linton any day of the week. I think he's outstanding. I think that recovery challenge tells you everything about him. Can go both ways, but senses danger as well.
Salah, right corner of the area, plays it back. McAllister 30 yards from goal, goes square. Gravenberg holds on to the ball for Liverpool. Newcastle United, black and white striped shirts behind it. Canate floats it forward, and it runs out of play aimlessly for a goal kick.
Poor from Canate. He gets too impatient on the ball at times, wants to force the issue. I think at times he thinks he's got that passing range of Virgil van Dijk, but he doesn't quite have that same ability. So just keep rotating the ball. You've got a great period of possession. You're putting Newcastle on the back front. That's exactly what you want from a Newcastle point of view, is Liverpool forcing that issue.
Pope waits to take the goal kick away towards our left-hand side. Strikes it downfield, drifting out towards the left. Comes off the thigh of Quansah, hit forward by Canate. Diaz trying to turn. Trippier with his years of experience.
The referee's got to see that, John Brooks. His hands around the shoulders of Luis Diaz.
Here is Murphy, short diagonal forward ball, cut out by Van Dijk. Gravenberg. This is Quansah now, infield he finds Szoboszlai, just outside the centre circle in the Newcastle half, towards McAllister. We've only been playing for 3-4 minutes in the second half as that move breaks down. But do you see a change in the body language of the Liverpool team?
Yeah, the tempo's changed completely. The tenacity in midfield, winning challenges, physically getting a little bit more aggressive with the Newcastle players, but that ball into midfield is getting zipped in a lot quicker, and the players are taking 1 and 2 touches and moving it quicker.
The last 9 years, this competition has been won by a club from the northwest. They've had a little bit of a stranglehold on it as Barnes comes forward and wins a corner. Manchester City 5 times, Liverpool and Manchester United 2 apiece, with Newcastle United vying to be the 24th different team to win the League Cup, and they are ahead. 5 minutes into the second half as Trippier, the Trojan, a warrior, gets a standing ovation. By the way, when Burn scored, it was utter bedlam in the Newcastle end with that goal that gives them the lead. Once again, I'm sure that Burn will be the focal point. Joel Linton is also there. Celebrations are extremely short-lived. VAR will naturally have a check. There will be the stadium announcement from referee John Brooks. A wag of the finger from Isak, but the flag was raised immediately.
Well, straight away, my first thought is criminal from Liverpool. You haven't learned your lesson from half-time in the first half. How many times do you want to allow a Newcastle player to win the first header? And they do win the first header. Joel Linton wins it at the back post. This is touch and go, Deno. This is very close. It was so close. Isak was just on the shoulder of the Liverpool player, probably just offside.
I think also it was Guimaraes who was standing in front of the goalkeeper, so whilst he doesn't touch the ball as such, he probably does impair the vision undoubtedly of Quevin Kelleher, and play is already back underway.
Yeah, I've seen it again on the monitor, and Isak was actually onside, and you're right, it was Guimaraes in front of Kelleher. But learning lessons, Liverpool, from Newcastle's point of view, well worked training ground routines, time and time again, far too easy for them to
lost by a 2-goal margin since they played Everton. He's marked his 100th appearance for the club, and who knows, it may be a winning goal at Wembley for Newcastle United. 70 years without a domestic major trophy. They now have a cushion of 2 goals.
We talk about moments in games, and moments fall into certain players, and Isak's been on the periphery of this game. He's hardly been involved in the game, but this is his moment. And as the ball is crossed by Livramento on his weaker left foot at the back post, Murphy does so well to climb above Andrew Robertson, and he nods the ball backwards into the path of Isak, and instinctively, first time, he drills the ball into the bottom left-hand corner. Kelleher with no chance of getting anywhere near it. Clinical from Isak, 2-0 Newcastle.
I swear, I think some of the Newcastle fans are still in a state of disbelief. They are now leading by 2 goals to 0.
Fantastic. Honestly, it's a great knockdown by Jacob there. And to be honest, it's a fantastic finish as well from Alex. It's a fantastic move.
Just so natural, instinctive, hit it early, right-footed. He is a world-class talent. 58 goals now in 100 appearances. That is some ratio. And the Newcastle supporters are swirling the black and white scarves around their heads away towards our right-hand side. And Liverpool, shell-shocked at the moment. Szoboszlai to Robertson. Robertson's cross. Mo Salah only scored 1 goal in 7 appearances at Wembley. Can't keep the ball in play.
Second best to everything at the moment. Newcastle been outstanding. Deserve it to be ahead. Deserving to be 2-0 ahead. Liverpool just simply not at the races. Arne Slot down in front of us. He's chatting to his assistants. He's chatting to them constantly throughout this second half, trying to find solutions. So often he's found them solutions, but today, not only have his team been second best, but he's been second best.
Here is Van Dijk, Robertson. Newcastle then lead by 2 goals to 0, 10 minutes into the second half. 5 Live, the World Service, are also available on the BBC Sounds app. And Liverpool at the minute, you'd think their only really effort was that Jota one when he prodded it wide. Curtis Jones is going to be coming on, but Arne Slot needs to find some answers from his players. He needs to gain some sort of a response.
He needs energy. He needs someone to get on the ball. He needs them to get a stranglehold of this game. Newcastle are suffocating them. They're making sure that they're on them constantly. They're finding it so difficult to find any sort of passage of play, patterns of play within this game. And it also looks like Endo will be coming on, and Darwin Nunez, who's going to be coming onto the field. They do need a response, Liverpool, and they need it quickly.
Those scarves, after being swirled, are now being stretched wide and held aloft, just swaying from side to side to the chant of Geordies, every single one of them. Almost 32,000 away towards our right-hand side. As Liverpool get ready for a double change. Nunez to come on, Curtis Jones to come on. Jota is going to be going on. He's actually, Jota, in his previous 10 games against Newcastle, he's never been on the losing side. And who's going to come on? Konate.
Interesting. He must feel like the big man's not recovered from Tuesday night. He hasn't been great throughout the game, Konate. So what we're going to see from Liverpool now, we're going to see Gravenberch move into that centre-back position. Kwanzaa will carry on in that right-back position. But Diogo Jota, he was poor in that first half. He was poor against Paris Saint-Germain as well.
Let's go to the touchline. Mas Farouki.
Well, as you say, John, Arne Slot was deep in discussion with his team even before Newcastle scored that second goal. It also looks like Harvey Elliott is warming up as well. So it might be that perhaps the third sub that Arne Slot feels he has to make in the second half.
Thank you, Maz. Newcastle United. Now do they dare to dream? Not many would have envisaged being in this position, I wouldn't have thought. 12 minutes into the second half, Dan Burn comes a long way out of defence to get his head on. He's been immense, by the way.
Name a player that hasn't for Newcastle. They've all been absolutely brilliant. So you think of the great teams that Liverpool have seen over the last couple of years, that was their biggest quality.
So the two players who missed penalties in that shootout against Paris Saint-Germain are on for Liverpool. We're approaching the hour mark. And also, just to keep them going, is that raucous support to the right-hand side.
Yeah, it's quite incredible, isn't it? Liverpool fans been silent. There's been nothing to cheer about for them. I can't even think of a chance of note for Liverpool where you'd say, yeah, great opportunity for them. Nick Pope must be wondering how much of an easy afternoon he's had. But that's credit to the team in front of him and how hard they've worked from front to back.
Newcastle United have got a free kick midway through the Liverpool half. On that far side, the left. Close your eyes, you could be thinking that you're in St James's Park, such is the noise. Headed away by Van Dijk on the edge of the area. Picked up by Murphy, still so much energy about these Newcastle players. Offside against Bruno Guimaraes. But undoubtedly that wave of support, Isaac, is just going to keep these Newcastle players going.
Yeah, like I was just alluded to there, it feels like we're at St James's Park. The Liverpool fans haven't really got going, but as I said, yeah, apart from that first chance in the first half that they had at the end of the first half, there hasn't been anything for Liverpool, but they are on the break now.
McAllister, forward ball, Diaz central area, out to Szoboszlai, unmarked. Left-hand side of the penalty area, balls it back. This is Jones! What a save by Pope! First save that Pope has had to make. It was a one-handed stop, turns it behind for a corner kick. Liverpool's best effort by far.
Yeah, almost an instant impact from Curtis Jones because he receives the ball with 2 and 3 players around him in the heart of his own half, and he just evades that press and he allows Liverpool to progress up the pitch, and then he continues his run into the box. The only thing you would say about the finish is it's straight down the neck of Pope. It should have been a goal for Liverpool. A little bit more composure from Curtis Jones, and perhaps he puts his team back into the game. And a smart save from Pope nevertheless.
Well, we've got Tonali is down at the moment, so there is a stoppage in play. It was just almost like a waft of his right hand, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic save. We spoke before the game about whether it was going to be Pope or Dubravka, and as I said, Pope's concentration there, especially when he hasn't had an awful lot to do, was fantastic, and as I said, kept it at 2-0.
Just got the feeling with Tonali going down there, is there an element of, yes, there was a coming together between him and Guimaraes, but is he just slowing the game down, taking the sting out of it? Liverpool just building up a little bit of steam in that attack, and he's just saying, OK, just slow it down, take the sting. This is our final, we're winning 2-0.
If you look through this Newcastle United side, we've banged on a lot about Newcastle, and quite rightly so, because, you know, they've lost their last 9 games at Wembley. It's the longest run of losses at Wembley in club history. So that's the reason why, that's the narrative that we've been talking about. But you look through this team, Trippier won La Liga with Atletico Madrid. Shearer's won titles with Basel. Tonali's won Serie A with Milan. So there are winners as individuals in this Newcastle side.
And you've got to take little bits from all those players and try and utilise that experience.
Play's about to get back underway. The league leaders of the Premier League are 2-0 down. In comes the corner, aimed towards Van Dijk. Newcastle, though, stand firm. Szoboszlai retrieves it. Curtis Jones back towards Szoboszlai. Unable, though, to try and break away from the shackles of Harvey Barnes. Sticking tight to him. Wouldn't let him switch it out towards that right-hand side. Instead, Jones towards the boss line. Luis Diaz left-hand side, level with the area. 61 minutes played. Jones looking to turn. A Liverpool goal would certainly set us up for a cracking finale. Here is Luis Diaz, left corner of the area. Newcastle, though, have everybody back. Here is Jones once again. Looks for the run of Robertson. There was Joe Linton once again, sliding inside the 6-yard area, behind for a Liverpool corner.
I bet Alan Slott's wondering why he didn't bring on Curtis Jones at half-time. He's injected quality, he's injected pace into the Liverpool team. A lovely ball in through Andrew Robertson, but well marshalled by that back line of Newcastle again.
Corner kick then for Liverpool, who are 2-0 down. McAllister at the end where the Liverpool supporters are housed. With the corner on this near side, the left, it's right-footed. Pope gets a fist onto that and gets good distance too. Jones on the right, back then it will go to Gravenberch. Isak is the one who has after him, and such is his pace it allows Gravenberch just to sidestep and come forward. Now it's with McAllister. Along the ground finds Szoboszlai. Newcastle with the black and white striped shirts back behind the ball. McAllister and Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai curls this one in. Downward header. Nunez couldn't control it, just went away from him.
He wasn't alive to the situation, he wasn't reacting, wasn't thinking, where might it drop to me? Sticks a leg out and it just ricochets into the path of Pope. That was a huge moment for Liverpool. If he's reactive, he just plays it first time and he gets himself a simple goal there, Darwin Nunez.
17th time at Wembley for Newcastle. They won their first 5, and that losing sequence that we've talked about. The last win, if you include the mercantile credit, in a competition in 1988 was actually against Liverpool on penalties. They won't need penalties, it would seem, here today, as they're 2-0 up. And the forward with Guimaraes to Murphy. Murphy running forward, back to Guimaraes. Tried the little drag flick into the penalty area for Murphy, cut out by Van Dijk. McAllister blocked by Tonali, falls to Isak, leads it up to Tonali, tried to tee up Barnes, and there was Quanta who was tucked in to get the block. Edge of the area, Newcastle win it back. Guimaraes, forward ball, Barnes, Isak is here, great save by Kelleher. It was slightly behind him, around probably waist height, and he's trying to hook it with his left foot, and then Kelleher with a reflex save. Newcastle again win it back, Schär shoots, and it's off target. They are just going forward, urged on this wave of positivity.
Phenomenal again from Newcastle. Every time they come forward, they look like they're going to score a goal or create something. It's a lovely play by Newcastle, and then as it's fed into that back post position, Harvey Barnes makes a lovely run off the shoulder of Gerald Quanta. He might have just strayed offside, it would have gone to VAR, but as it comes into the middle to Isak, slightly behind him, tries to adjust his body position and win the ball and get that shot at goal, but straight down the throat of Kelleher. Another warning for Liverpool. How many chances do they want to afford to this Newcastle team?
Well, I was just going to say, Isaac, the lead could be far greater than just the 2.
It could be 3 or 4. I mean, Newcastle just sharper to every single ball, every second ball they're on it. And as I said, I'm surprised by how Liverpool have started the second half. As I said, they probably need to come out all guns blazing, but they just haven't in the second half. Newcastle have had too much for them.
65 minutes played. Isaac Hayden and Stephen Warnock with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Sense this is a little bit more gamesmanship as well. Another Newcastle player has gone down just to disrupt the rhythm. That's Joel Linton at the moment. Tonali's also come to the side of the pitch. Isak is also down. Can we go touchline, Maz?
Eddie Gakpo is going to be the next sub made by Arne Slot. Just put on his jersey, just readying himself. Kind of going to come down to the touchline now, so that's going to be the 3rd Liverpool sub in the second half.
Thank you, Maz. Let's get the team news then from our 7 o'clock commentary. Leicester City, Manchester United in the Premier League. Mike Miney.
And Leicester City are unchanged, so that remains 3 at the back for them. As for Manchester United, Andre Onana, the goalkeeper's passed a late fitness test and starts. Aiden Heaven gets his first Premier League start. There are 3 changes from Thursday night's win. Casemiro, Dorgu and Xerxes out. Lindelof, Eriksson and Ugarte in.
Earlier on in the Premier League, Arsenal beat Chelsea by 1-0. Fulham beat Tottenham by 2-0. In the Scottish Premiership, Dundee United 2, Dundee 4, Celtic 2, Rangers 3. but Celtic are still 13 points clear at the top. And in the Championship, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1. So Chris Wilder's side move level with Leeds United. They are 2 points clear of Burnley. McAllister is the player who's come off. Cody Gakpo, Stephen, has come on.
Yeah, it's just going to be interesting now to see how fit Cody Gakpo is. We watched him on Tuesday night against Paris Saint-Germain. He didn't look fit enough. He didn't look like he could sprint at all. He looked like very uncomfortable. We knew he got that knock in training. At half-time, we were watching his warm-up just to see where he was at. He was sprinting across the pitch, looked a little bit freer. I'm just going to try and see what the formation is from Liverpool here with McAllister coming off. It almost looks like it's a system of Curtis Jones being the deeper player, and then in front of him it'll be Szoboszlai and Luis Diaz, Gakpo on the right and left-hand side, Salah on the right, and Darwin Nunez down the middle. So if Newcastle can beat that press from Liverpool, they'll be at that back line with a lot of freedom.
Isak has just got to delay his return, as has Joel Linton. They've got to be off for at least 30 seconds. So at the moment they're down to 9 in Newcastle, but now they lose the ball. Break is on for Newcastle. The charge is led by Tonali, and Isak and Joel Linton both sprint onto the field of play, and they're involved now. Here is Isak to Joel Linton. Joel Linton hits the side netting. It almost worked in their favour.
Yeah, what is Curtis Jones doing? You're light at the back and you're trying to play a little ball into a striker when it's pinched by the Newcastle players, and that is just counter-attacking. It lights the eyes up of Newcastle players. They can't believe that he's played that ball in there. And that is exactly what we're going to see in this second period of the second half with these changes that Liverpool have made.
1955, the less domestic major honour for Newcastle United, where the average house price in the UK was £2,064. Disneyland opened in California, and the first Guinness Book of Records was published. Talking of record books, Newcastle are looking to rip it all up with the current scoreline as we're midway through the second half. And to take you through to the end, here's John Murray.
Well, thank you, Ian. If you're listening to this wherever you are in the UK or around the world on the World Service, I would say strap yourself in, do not go anywhere, because with the players Liverpool have got on the field now, and also, as we just witnessed there, Newcastle able to break. It was like watching those fireworks at Villa Park the other night when Newcastle came forward. And here they come again with Barnes, left side of the area, pulls it back, but that's intercepted by Van Dijk. And it doesn't open up for Newcastle this time, but they have a 2-0 lead, and Murphy's won it back on the edge of the D, left foot, wide at the left post as he looked at it, probably by a yard in the end actually.
Harvey Barnes, what are you doing? Just shoot, open your body up, find that far corner. If Kelleher saves it, he ricochets it into the oncoming Newcastle strikers.
Well, here's a man now in possession we've not really mentioned much today. Mo Salah, 32 goals this season. Liverpool, I would say, this performance definitely influenced by what they've experienced earlier in the week, going out of the Champions League on Tuesday night. And Newcastle, though, have been excellent. They've taken advantage of that as Gakpo right-footed ball into the Newcastle box, but right into the gloves of Nick Pope, who catches it on the edge of the 6-yard box, and all in sky blue just flops down onto his front.
Yeah, well, when Cody Gakpo comes inside on his right foot, the first thing you're thinking is he's going to cross it. So why is Luis Diaz and Szoboszlai standing on the edge of the box trying to receive the ball into feet? Make that gamble, go and help Darwin Nunez, cause a problem to the back line of the Newcastle players. It's so easy for the Newcastle players. Everything is being played in front of them.
So at 6 o'clock, it's just darkening outside Wembley Stadium. And inside, well, it looks as though it might be a black and white night here in North London, because Newcastle lead the Carabao Cup final against Liverpool, the holders, the record winners of this competition, by 2 goals to 0. Dan Burns scoring at the end of the first half. And if that wasn't enough, then Alexander-Arnold doubling the lead on his 100th appearance for the club early in the second half. And Liverpool, who are facing what would be their heaviest defeat under Arne Slot, the defeats that they've suffered this season have all been by the odd goal, as Jones is again, Joe Linton, the work rate, he's epitomised I guess what Eddie Howe has asked of his team today, closes down Jones and it's out for a throw.
Yeah, there's been some outstanding performances from Newcastle players, but for me the standout player by an absolute country mile is Joe Linton. It's great to watch Newcastle, how brave they are out of possession. Isaac talked about it before, man-to-man out of possession when Liverpool are playing out from the back. That takes guts to do.
As Szoboszlai is picked up for a little, just a late challenge trip. Bruno Guimaraes goes down, stays down, and we are seeing some arch man management and game management from Newcastle United. I think Liverpool are going to make another change.
Just who, John? Chiesa as well.
Yeah, Chiesa and
Harvey Elliott.
Harvey Elliott coming on. It's going to be a free kick to Newcastle. Isaac Hayden is with us, Newcastle United player on loan at Portsmouth. But I'm struck, Isaac, by over the course of last season, I remember Newcastle playing in the Champions League and Eddie Howe talking about how they needed to improve their game management.
Yeah,
they've done that.
They've done that today. The dark arts, like you said earlier in the second half, the lads going down and making sure they can get some information on that's vital for the second half. But they've just been fantastic. Every second ball, they've been the first. I mean, as I said, Joe Linton has been unbelievable today, winning every header, every duel. He's contested. I mean, he's been everywhere. So, as I said, long may it continue for the rest of the half.
Yeah, we were speaking before the game, and I was saying, if you're a Newcastle player or a Liverpool player, if you're going to win this game, you have got to come off that pitch where you can't walk, where you're that drained. Well, Newcastle players, every single one of them so far, will have that at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's what we've seen. It's been that type of performance from Newcastle.
They just look hungrier than Liverpool.
There's a long pass forward from Liverpool, and there's no way Gakpo will reach that. It's out of play. More cheers from the Newcastle United supporters. And even though we're in our glass-fronted box here at Wembley Stadium, we can hear the atmosphere pouring in through our effects mics, but also through this little open window here. It's absolutely fizzing outside. You know, you don't often get this at Wembley Stadium, this sort of atmosphere, as Liverpool are going to make the changes now. Gravenberch is coming off with Chiesa coming on and Harvey Elliott coming on for Luis Diaz.
This is going to be very interesting again. What's the difference now? Does he go with three at the back? Andrew Robertson, Virgil van Dijk and Kwanzaa, and then he throws the dice in those forward areas, but this will leave Liverpool light in wide areas. Harvey Barnes and Jacob Murphy now, their eyes should be lighted up thinking, right, hit those diagonals into spaces when we win the ball back. Let us go in a foot race. We're quite happy to do that. We pinch a throw in high up the pitch. Absolutely fantastic.
So Chiesa, Federico Chiesa, the Italian international, who won the Euros with Italy here inside this stadium, remember? He's on, and Harvey Elliott, the man who you and I saw, Stephen, in Paris the other week, scoring that unforgettable goal, which turned out to be for a losing cause, as players back underway. Bruno Guimaraes is going down, and actually the free kick goes the other way for the challenge on Gakpo. Liverpool free kick. Virgil van Dijk takes charge of the situation. It's not crisis time yet for Liverpool, but it's not far off.
No, it's very close, John. I think the crisis was probably when the second goal went in, but they'll feel like there's still enough time. If they can pinch one goal, they can put Newcastle under immense pressure, but they need a goal very quickly, Liverpool.
5 Live, BBC Sounds, the World Service. Liverpool 0, Newcastle 2, and Newcastle are 15 minutes away from winning a trophy. Szoboszlai just outside the box. Newcastle have got men back. Now here's Kwanzaa out to the right-hand side to Salah. Salah takes on Livramento to the byline, but the Newcastle left-back is able to dive in, block the cross behind for a corner.
He did well in the 1v1 situation. He had cover on the inside, and he just knew if it was Salah taking him to the line, it was a 1v1, dealt with the situation. Liverpool corner.
Elliott's going to take it. Newly arrived onto the pitch. Harvey Elliott waiting just off the pitch behind the goal. Liverpool need a goal. Newcastle 2-0 up. Elliott, left-footed corner, Pope comes, gets fingertips to it on the attempted punch, and that's taken it right across here to the right-hand side, the Newcastle right-back position. Tonali couldn't keep it in play. Liverpool are stepping it up here after all of the changes that Arne Slot has made. Szoboszlai's ball into the area, comes up a Newcastle head share, but then headed away at the back post by Livramento. Again, Liverpool, Elliott back to the edge of the box. Chiesa's ball in, diving header away, comes out for Newcastle, shouts for handball It's not given by John Brooks. Newcastle break. Here's one for Isak to chase, but he's beaten to the ball. And beaten to the ball well by Robertson, who should have turned a pace there to get the ball and pass it back to Callaghan.
Yeah, I think Isak almost felt a little bit of cramp as he was running there. He just pulled up ever so slightly. I was thinking, is he going to pull up with an injury? But that's just fatigue from Isak. But that's the danger for Liverpool, that turn and that spinning behind.
This is the classic cup final scenario for Newcastle United supporters. This clock cannot tick over quickly enough. And for Liverpool fans here to our left inside Wembley Stadium, it must look as though it's whizzing around. And we've got 13 minutes to play. Here's Gakpo, top scorer in this competition this season. Gakpo coming in field, still feeling his way back. Robertson's cross, that's blocked out of play by Murphy. And it's a throw-in to Liverpool. He urges to get the ball back from the Liverpool supporters who are at that end. Arne Slot just moves back into his coaching area. He's collected a loose ball as well. Ball at his feet. Jurgen Klopp lost his first final in this competition with Liverpool. Ball into the area. Chiesa flicks it on. Cleared away by Livramento at the back post. Trippier is there to clear it away further. Virgil van Dijk, the man who scored the winning goal against Chelsea in this final last season. Then to his right to Kwanzaa, right-footed pass now. Gakpo heads it infield. Chiesa's able to get the ball down onto the ground. Challenge comes in on him from Bruno Guimaraes illegally, says referee Brooks, which is disputed by Tonali, who puts his hands on his head. Bruno Guimaraes, the Newcastle captain, goes to the referee, shaking his finger. He's made his decision. It's a free kick.
Yeah, I thought he'd just overrun the ball ever so slightly, Chiesa. He just nutmegs Guimaraes, and it is the correct decision. This is an opportunity now for Liverpool, in a dangerous position, but credit to Newcastle, they've defended these situations extremely well.
Free kick for Liverpool. Left corner of the box, Gakpo, full start. Going to be Szoboszlai. Curls it in nicely right-footed, but that's headed away. Dan Burn, scorer of Newcastle's first goal, gets that head to it. And then Liverpool over the top again into the area. Nunez is still up there. He was challenged, runs away from Chiesa, but he's still got it in the box, gives it to Gakpo. Gakpo, two Newcastle men on him. Now it's taken up by Harvey Elliott near that left corner of the penalty area. Szoboszlai, but Newcastle continue to work tigerishly in this match. Bruno Guimaraes, but Liverpool back in possession again. This is the best period of pressure that Liverpool have had, I think, in the entire final so far. Elliott now into the box. Chiesa with a chance, but it bounced away, and Cher was able to get a left foot to it and plant it out of play.
Brilliant from Cher, read the situation extremely well. Beautiful ball from Harvey Elliott into the path of Chiesa, who's been so lively since he came on. Just thinking, can he hit it first time? Tries to take a touch with the left foot and get the shot away with the right. And as he takes that first touch, Fabian Cher is in with a great challenge.
5 Live. Liverpool trying to chase the game, trying to grab a goal back for the closing stages. Just over 10 minutes to play. Play back underway with Kwanzaa. Out it goes to the right-hand side. Elliott is there. Salah takes up a position in the box. Elliott's cross into the area. That's headed away by a stooping Dan Burn. Salah's able to control the ball on the right wing now. Elliott's there as well. Salah looks back and finds Jones. Jones infield to Robertson. Forward of the centre circle. Now to the left-hand side to Chiesa. Chiesa approaching the Newcastle penalty area, but black and white stripes and a wall in front of him. Chiesa then passes it behind Harvey Elliott, who gets it down. Left-footed ball into the box. Jones takes a touch and then shoots right-footed. High over the angle of post and bar. And Newcastle players, Isak flops to the ground. It's a goal kick. And I see Callum Wilson preparing to come on. I suspect Mas Faruqi down behind that Newcastle bench. That's what you're going to tell us.
Yeah, Callum Wilson's just been chomping down on an energy gel bar, so he's coming on. It looks like Willock's going to be coming on as well, so those are going to be the late reinforcements made by Eddie Howe for the last 10 minutes, John.
So I think it's just a one change right now. So Callum Wilson, who has missed much of this season through injury, is going to come on for the closing stages of the 19th minutes. 33 years old now. And here's Joe Willock as well, being applauded forward. And it's the big favourite, Alexander Isak, the club top scorer, the man who scored what could be the clinching second goal, who's had to admit defeat to the cramp he's been suffering. Stephen.
Yeah, I think it's Harvey Barnes as well who's going to make way, and you just wonder whether he's going to compact that midfield a little bit more, or he'll ask Joe Willock to play out on that left-hand side and just say to him, just be a willing runner, just make sure that when we win the ball back that you're breaking into that position. Callum Wilson probably doesn't have the speed and the pace that he used to, but he's got bags of experience. He'll play on the shoulder of the players, he'll just try and feed off the wider players. But from Liverpool's point of view, that tempo's been up, that quality's been there. Curtis Jones with an opportunity, he just turned and snatched that, a little bit more composure in the area. And John, just to touch on something that happened earlier on, there was a VAR check in the penalty box where Darwin Nunez went down. Kieran Trippier had his arms across him, but there wasn't enough in it. That's why we had a little break in play as well.
We've got just under 9 minutes to play. Liverpool 0, Newcastle 2. And Newcastle closing in on their first trophy since 1969, their first domestic major honour since 1955, 70 years. Let me tell you as well that here's Joel Linton just outside the box, goes for goal, but drags it wide of the near post, and Kelleher diving down to his right knew it was heading wide by 2 or 3 feet. And the attendance is just being announced, 88,513, and they are very much a contrast. Newcastle United supporters now counting down to what will be an unforgettable conclusion as Tonali hits a shot from just outside the box, but too close to Kelleher, who's able to juggle the ball and then pick it up.
A little bit sloppy from Kelleher. Almost that knuckleball effect from Joe Linton as he hits the ball, but Newcastle coming forward again.
Again with Livramento. Livramento's now got Willock for support, but Livramento goes for goal and struck an arm. I'm not sure there's anything Jones could do about that. It bounced off him. He was only 2 or 3 yards away from where Livramento hit the shot. It's deflected behind for what is a corner.
Yeah, definitely no penalty. Arms at the side of Curtis Jones. He almost made it be seen to be the referee. That's exactly what he was trying to do. It almost hits him in the chest as well. An opportunity, what we've seen from Newcastle, to deliver quality into that penalty area. I'm just looking at Joe Linton. He's right at the top of the penalty area in front of us at the top of the right-hand side. Free as a bird, him and Fabian Schär. You cannot give them that space.
Trippier with a corner. It's another dangerous delivery to the back post where Jones is underneath it to head it away. Nodded back forward by Willock. Left foot. Wilson goes for the dropping volley, but got right underneath it and skied it over the angle of post and bar. Let me tell you that it is still, play is still interrupted at Sawgrass in the Players' Championship. Rory McIlroy is leading, but because that's the place on Sports Extra right now, there is commentary on the women's final at Indian Wells, and remember, we will have commentary on Jack Draper's final on Sports Extra live from California at 9 o'clock tonight. And on 5 Live coming up is commentary on Leicester against Manchester United in the Premier League. 6:06 at 9 o'clock tonight with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, and they could probably talk for 3 hours or more about what's happened so far here. Robertson with a nutmeg on Murphy, but then there's the covering challenge from Bruno Guimaraes. We see another one of those celebrations for a midfield tackle. There are 6 minutes to play. Liverpool trailing by 2 goals to 0, heading to defeat in the week that they went out of the Champions League. Dan Burn falls, half clears it on the edge of his own penalty area. Murphy, I'm sure there was a great deal of contact in terms of the tug on him by Gakpo, but he won the free kick for Newcastle.
Yeah, a slot on the touchline, he just almost dropped to his knees. He wasn't happy at all. I don't think he's been too happy with the way the game's been refereed. He thinks it's been a little bit too physical from the Newcastle players, and Isaac touched on it before, the dark arts. I think Newcastle have managed this game superbly well. They've frustrated the Liverpool players. That's part and parcel of the game.
Absolutely. To be successful, you've got to be prepared to be unpopular with your opponents.
Absolutely, and they've ruffled the feathers of Liverpool from minute 1. There's Anthony Gordon on our screen down in front of us.
Yeah, Maz must be able to see him now. He's suddenly appeared as if by magic, like Mr. Ben used to in the tunnel. Maz.
Yeah, I was just about to say, John, he's just emerged from the tunnel and started high-fiving the Newcastle bench with a massive grin on his face, Anthony Gordon. We were trying to track him down, weren't we? And he's come out here to savour perhaps the last 5 minutes of this final.
2-0 to Newcastle, and time rapidly running out for Liverpool. Arne Slot, who lost his first final at Feyenoord when he lost out to Jose Mourinho's Roma in the inaugural Conference League final. And And it looks as though he's going to go the same way as Jurgen Klopp, who lost his first final in this competition with Liverpool back in his first season in charge. There is always the Premier League, with their lead being cut to 12 points today after Arsenal's win earlier, as Chiesa heads it forward. Newcastle, though, with Joe Linton, here's another one. This is for Wilson to chase, but Kwanzaa's underneath that. Jones is now able to take it down, and Newcastle are dropping back now, so inviting Liverpool on. Jones gives it to Elliott. Elliott down the right wing. Szoboszlai wants it on the edge of the box. Comes back to Jones. Infield to Elliott. Then Jones back to Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa square towards Van Dijk. And Van Dijk in the orange boots, tall and imposing, carries it to the edge of the Newcastle box. Gakpo now on the left-hand side. But Newcastle have two men on him. And they force Liverpool all the way back to the halfway line. 3.5 minutes of the 90 to play. And Kwanzaa's pass is overhead, and a huge Geordie cheers as the ball drops harmlessly from a Newcastle point of view into the arms of their goalkeeper.
Yeah, I was just watching Joe Linton there. He closed 3 Liverpool players down in that passage of play. Wouldn't give them a second to get their heads up and put that ball into the penalty area. But Liverpool almost turning them opportunities down to put the ball in, and what the striker's going to feed off. Now Virgil van Dijk, last throw of the dice has been thrown up front. They have to play a little bit more direct here, Liverpool.
So it is Dan Burn who steps forward and heads the ball away. And really for Newcastle here, after all of those final disappointments, losing in their last 5 Wembley Cup finals, well, this is a day when everything's worked like clockwork. Ball headed away again for Newcastle. Kieran Trippier has come in, 34 years old, and he has performed excellently as well at right back. Chiesa, it's Liverpool attack again. He's got Gakpo as well if he wants to use him, but turns infield, gives it to Darwin Nunez. Nunez is forced away towards the halfway line. There's Newcastle man Murphy who's hobbling. Elliott curls it in, left-footed into the penalty area. It's over everyone. Salah, I don't think he can keep it in. No, the flag's up on the far side. Salah tried to get to it, couldn't get there, and strange to say it, Salah's been peripheral today.
He's been really poor. He's struggled in the game. He struggled in the game away at Paris Saint-Germain. He struggled in the home game against Paris Saint-Germain, and he has not turned up at all today. He said that there'd be moments in the game where he might just spring to life. He'd be quiet throughout that game, but given that one opportunity, he hasn't been given that opportunity, such as the defensive performance from Newcastle.
They're going to see another Newcastle change now with Jacob Murphy, who had that block, and we're going to have another Geordie coming on for the final moments now. I think that's excellent management as well, man management by Eddie Howe to bring on Sean Longstaff.
No, he's changed it, John. He's just sat Longstaff down, and then he's just called out one of his other substitutions, who's Kraft. And I think he's going to throw Kraft on now and say almost like, OK, we'll put 5 at the back. We'll deal with Van Dijk if he goes forward.
Yeah. So change that. It was a lovely thought to bring Longstaff on.
It was a lovely thought, John.
So Kraft will come on. But Murphy's staying on for the moment. Not yet. Are they making that substitution? We're in the 90th minute now. I have to confess, don't want to call it too early, but it does feel like this cup final has gone for Liverpool. And you'll never walk alone rings out. And the Newcastle fans now, well, they're in high spirits and they're on their feet. They're going to applaud Kraft coming onto the field, but I think they're also applauding Liverpool and their supporters singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." I've always felt that there's a great affinity between Liverpool and Newcastle. A lot of the social history is very similar between these two cities on the northeast coast of England and the northwest coast of England, and that was a really nice interchange between the two sets of supporters. 8 minutes of added time, Stephen.
Yeah, the Newcastle fans won't be happy about that 8 minutes. I'll just touch on the performance of Murphy on that right-hand side. Ran himself into the ground, but also a danger going forward. Some quality balls into the penalty area. That 8 minutes, John, has just made the Newcastle fans a little bit edgy.
Yes, Isaac Hayden just sitting with us in the box here. It's not done yet.
No, far from done until the final whistle, but yeah, 8 minutes. I'm not quite sure where they've got all that time from, to be honest. But
it's all that game management.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, with Emil coming on now on the right-hand side, it should just lock off the right-hand side and oh, what a ball.
Kraft, his ball into Wilson, took a heavy touch. Kwanzaa is able to shepherd it back to Keller, who comes out and smothers it. So there is time to score. There is time for Liverpool. We are in the first minute of 8 of added time. 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. BBC Sounds as well will have all of the reaction if you don't hear it later on 5 Live tonight in the Football Daily. But Liverpool now have to throw caution to the wind. Kwanzaa to Elliott. Long left-footed ball to the edge of the box, but Kraft is able to chest that down calmly. And then Bruno Guimaraes is just tripped by Gakpo as he looked to launch one downfield. I think he was looking for it and he got it.
What's the point in throwing Virgil van Dijk up front if you're not going to hit a long ball to him? So if you continue to pass it round the back, you may as well leave Virgil van Dijk there. He's not a striker, so he's not going to suddenly start linking the play up, otherwise he'd have played centre forward in his whole career. If you're going to play to his height, hit the ball long and feed off him and get second balls. Simply not good enough from Liverpool. One shot on target they've had in this game, John. Incredible.
Yeah, the Curtis Jones shot that was saved. Liverpool break now with Willock into the penalty area, but the covering challenge was there, and Willock was forced on the stretch to cross it straight behind and out of play for a goal kick to Liverpool. Well, we talk about years of hurt, don't we, in football. 1974, the FA Cup final for Newcastle. They were thrashed by Liverpool in that final. 1976, Manchester City. 1998 in the FA Cup final against Arsenal. Then the next year against Manchester United. Then 2 years ago against Manchester United as well in the League Cup final, Eric Ten Hag's team. But now the plan has finally for Newcastle, it would appear, all come together. But Liverpool still search for a goal that would give them back into the game. Gakpo with a shot, bounces out, looked like a handball in there. Nunez with a shot, that's blocked as well. Still inside the Newcastle box, but they're able to scrape it away. And then Joe Linton plays it away, and Joe Linton runs it away to the halfway line. And Szoboszlai trying to catch him. Bruno Guimaraes goes for a spin on the ball, but he's lost it. Elliott's ball through to the edge of the penalty area, and it's slipped into the net by Chiesa, but an offside flag is up, and the goal is ruled out. I think he was offside, Chiesa, when it was played through.
Yeah, well, his heart will be in his mouth, Bruno Guimaraes, because he tries a silly pirouette in midfield, and Harvey Elliott pinches it off his toe. Chiesa, is he a little bit lazy getting back into that position to get himself onside? Oh, this is close. This is very close. I think he's onside, John.
Yeah,
I think he's onside.
Yeah, Chiesa, I think you're right. I'm going to have to change my mind, and we will hear the in-stadium announcement on this. They're looking at it, but yeah, I think he has been played onside, and I think Liverpool are going to have a goal back in the 4th minute of added time.
Andrew Robertson's gesturing, it's on, get back, let's get the ball back. He knows it's onside. They're obviously, the staff have told them that they think it's onside. They've looked at it on the screens in front of them. Just wait to hear the cheer from the Liverpool fans if it's a goal, or the Newcastle fans if it's chalked off.
So Chiesa, Federico Chiesa, who scored here at Wembley in the Euro semi-final against Spain, might just, we think, have given Liverpool a chance, the glimmer of a chance in this cup final. They're still waiting, they're still looking at it. I mean, the freeze frame that we've seen makes it look as though he's comfortably onside, but certainly onside. And still we wait now and we will hear this on the announcement, so you're going to hear the voice of John Brooks, the referee.
Do you know what they're looking at, John?
Whether there was
they're looking at the foul on Guimaraes. It's not a foul, but then it's just as simple, is it offside or not?
So still we wait, the players milling around. Liverpool are quite confident here. Here's the whistle. There's the rectangle. Number 13 is onside. And there we have it. Confirmation that Chiesa was onside when the ball was played through, and he was able to chuck it away and make it Liverpool 1, Newcastle 2, and there are going to be late nerves for Newcastle.
Yeah, there certainly is. I think some of the Newcastle fans haven't got the message that came over to Tannoy. They thought it was offside. There was celebrations down below us. I don't think the Tannoy system was as clear as they'd hoped it would be. But Chiesa, he's had a huge effect on this game since coming on. Every time he's got the ball, he's looked to take someone on. A lovely turn on the half turn, and then a great finish into that bottom right-hand corner past Nick Pope. We've got a game on our hands late on in this game now.
Yeah, well, Newcastle have suffered some monumental cup agonies over the years. And unless they're very careful here, there is the prospect of a new and entirely more painful agony from 2-0 up. It's now 2-1. And with 8 minutes of added time, we're now in the 7th minute of added time. But there must be at least 2, possibly 3 more minutes added on, which would make it 11.
Yeah, it took quite a while for that VAR decision to be made. I was just watching the Newcastle bench down below. Isak just getting off the bench and trying to lift the Newcastle players, but also the fans to react to that goal, try and get behind the team and lift the team one sort of step further towards that trophy.
So it's a new drama now, because we don't know how much time will be played on after the 8 minutes. And right now we are in the 8th minute of added time, but the ball's down in the Liverpool left back position, and it's deflected out of play, and that is given as a Newcastle throw next to their own, next to the Liverpool left back position that Kraft is waiting to take. And 30 seconds of added time to play, but then at least another couple of minutes after that. Throw-in is taken, the flag is up because the referee spotted an infringement, and it's a free kick to Liverpool. And now they've got to go forward long and hard. The score, Liverpool 1, Newcastle 2. Final moments of this Carabao Cup final for 2025. Callaghan long and forward, shares underneath that to win a good header back for Newcastle. Into the centre circle, Bruno Guimaraes to Tonali. Tonali now running it forward. I think he's shown too much of it to Kwanzaa. No, he's able to keep it. Then Willock takes it over, down into the Liverpool right back area. Kwanzaa has gone out there with him. He's taken it to the corner flag. We are now beyond the 8 minutes of added time. The ball is deflected off the field next to the corner flag. Just looking to see if that is... Well, it's Willock who's won the corner.
It's a corner, brilliant from Joe Willock. Nothing in his mind apart from going to that corner flag to make sure that he eats up the ground, slows the game down, and wins his team a corner. And they're just eating away that clock now.
Apparently Federico Chiesa was booked somewhere in the middle of all of that over the course of the last few minutes. Whether it was a celebration or not, I don't know. But yellow card for Chiesa. Corner for Newcastle. And I see Tonali was yellow carded as well for something. That's just appeared. So Chiesa and Tonali. Newcastle take the corner short, of course they do. Try to win an early throw, which they've succeeded in doing, or at least that's what the Newcastle supporters tried to convince John Brooks it was, and it is. And Newcastle now in no hurry to get the ball back from the ball boys on the far side, and Curtis Jones has run off the field to get the ball. Newcastle now, the countdown is on, the whistles from their supporters, all holding their breath, holding their scarves and holding their breath. The ball out of, down next to that corner flag. It's a right stramash in there, and it's taken back into the quadrant, and eventually it's worked away. Still Newcastle with it, in possession on the dead ball line on the left-hand side. Liverpool are able to get a foot in, win it back. Now Szoboszlai running it forward. The Liverpool supporters urging their team to hit it long, which they do to Salah. Joe Linton with a challenge. Salah then turns, left-footed ball forward. Nunez jumps for it. He's beaten by Cher. Bounces down to Joe Linton. Joe Linton fires it forward to Wilson, who I think might have been in an offside position. Wilson takes it out towards the left-hand side. I think he's only got eyes on the corner flag, he has, even though Newcastle players got forward, but Liverpool have nicked it back. So we're in the 11th minute now of added time here at Wembley. The ball deflects downfield, but that will deflect into the path of Nick Pope, who just launches it into the stands.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Harvey Elliott's just been caught off the ball as he played that ball forward. Liverpool wanted a foul, but get on with the game. They need to pick Harvey Elliott up and get the ball back into play as quick as they can.
his back off the field. Newcastle with the goals from Dan Burn and Alexander-Arnold, but that late goal ruled onside by VAR from Chiesa means it is a nervy finish here. Very, very tense now. Elliott is still down on his back.
John, it was a collision with Joe Linton. He got the run on Joe Linton, and Joe Linton, he just pulled his shirt and dragged him down as he went to go past him. So it was a late challenge, but ball's back in play.
It is. Might be the last attack now this. We're in the 13th minute of added time. Van Dijk heads it across field. Joe Linton gets there first, but that's it! Newcastle have won it! They've beaten Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final! And Geordie joy abounds around Wembley Stadium. Scenes like this in black and white we have not witnessed for decades and decades and decades and decades. And Newcastle players running all over the pitch and enjoying the moment with their celebrating Geordie fans in the three tiers of Wembley Stadium. That banner before the match talked about Newcastle, this Newcastle team writing their name in history, and that's what they've done. A first domestic trophy for Newcastle United, a first Wembley Cup final win for 70 years. This is one for the annals. Goals from Geordie, Dan Burn from Northumberland, and Alexander-Arnold from Sweden are the goals that have done it. And now with the Liverpool stands soon and very quickly emptying after Arne Slot has seen his team lose in his first Liverpool Cup final. For Newcastle, the scene to my right, well, it is Geordie joy. And of course we're seeing the pictures of all of the Newcastle fans that you will know, whether it's Ant and Deck, whether it's Alan Shearer. I don't know where Sam Fender is. He's probably on tour somewhere, but he'll have his eyes on this. And Newcastle have won it. Liverpool 1, Newcastle 2. Stephen Warnock.
Oh, credit to Newcastle. To a man, they were outstanding. I was watching the reactions of the players when that final whistle went. And Joe Linton just dropped to his knees. Every ounce of energy that he had in this football game, he threw into it. And he was the outstanding performer. But Newcastle were brilliant. They smothered Liverpool. They made it difficult for them. They created opportunities. They defended extremely well. Don't forget how many players Liverpool threw forward in the latter stages of this game. They stood strong. It looked in doubt towards the end, and there was a few nervous moments from the Newcastle players, but they deserved this. They were the better team on the day. And Liverpool, whether they were tired from the game against Paris Saint-Germain in the week, I'm not giving them that excuse. I don't think they deserve that excuse. I think you've got to give all the credit for Newcastle, the game plan, the way they set themselves up. They were outstanding.
They were, and the door was opened most appropriately by a local hero in Dan Burn. Liverpool 1, Newcastle 2, and in a few minutes' time, Newcastle will be lifting a cup.
Local hero, the song written by the lead singer of Dire Straits, and Newcastle United fans know all about those. Before that, you'll have heard them booming out Blade and Races. If you don't know the words, there's a line in the middle, all the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces. Well, that's what we're looking at around Wembley Stadium. Newcastle fans holding their scarves aloft, some just shaking their heads. Disbelief, as well as joy, as well as relief. I saw Shea Given walking past the Newcastle fans just after the full-time whistle. Well, he must be about 50 metres away from me, but I could see him just puff his cheeks out. I think the word, Isaac Hayden, is finally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lost for words, to be honest with you. What a performance from the side. I mean, every single player to a man was unbelievable, on top of their game. But, you know, special mention to Joe Linton, I thought today, best player in the park. He had everything. He had pace going forwards. He was winning the second balls. He was defensively solid. And also the back four. I mean, we talk about Burn obviously because of the goal, but Trippier, Livramento were top notch against two very, very fast wingers, and Fabian Schär on the ball, especially today, was very, very good as well. So an overall amazing team performance, and these scenes will live long in the memories for a lot of Geordie fans.
I think I can see Jacob Murphy down there with a selfie stick. He's just run in front of the Newcastle fans right away on the other side of the pitch. He's drinking it in. Remember, we heard earlier from his identical twin brother, Josh Murphy, who scored both of the goals here last season in the League One playoff final when Oxford United won promotion. Josh is here somewhere. Jacob wasn't able to be there for his big day, but Jacob Murphy played a massive part. He got the assist for Alexander Isak, the 8th time that Jacob Murphy has assisted Isak this season. His family, the Murphy family, are from Ashington. Dan Burn is from Blythe. These two mining towns that have seen so many hard times over the years, especially since the early 1990s. These, John Murray, are scenes now over to the right-hand side.
Yeah, all of those years, all of those agonies, all of those cup final disappointments, and not just cup finals, some of the cup catastrophes in a footballing sense that Newcastle have suffered over the years, and some of the embarrassments really as well, being knocked out by teams way below them in the pyramid. You remember Hereford United in the FA Cup of course as well. That's all part of this story since Newcastle were able to reach this point. They said that there was a curse against them, didn't they? Well, the curse has been broken today.
Stephen Warner, one thing that you noticed, obviously most of our discussion is going to be about Newcastle because they're the winners of the League Cup final, and it's an incredible story for them. We'll also talk Liverpool as well between now and 7 o'clock when we'll be underway with commentary of Leicester-Manchester United. What was the first thing Virgil van Dijk did?
Well, straight away there was an embrace at the halfway line between him and Dan Burn, which was superb. But then the Newcastle fans and players were in front of the fan group, and they were in a big huddle, and Van Dijk stood at the side a bit, waited for it to break, and then he just went round and shook every single player's hand within that group in the Newcastle half. I think he just respected what Newcastle have done today. The game was played in a magnificent manner, and that is just, it's class. It shows a massive sign of respect for Newcastle as well.
They've just announced, Isaac, that Dan Burn is the player of the match, as if his story couldn't get any more complete.
No, as I said, it was probably between Dan Burn and Joe Linton for me for the man of the match. Obviously, Dan got the first goal, or crucial goal, but yeah, I don't think any of them are really going to care tonight who was man of the match. It was just about winning the match, and as I said, the scenes down there are absolutely unbelievable, and for every single player there, even if you haven't come on, Sean Neave is 17 years old, and what an experience for him on the bench today.
The roars are because Dan Burn has not just won man of the match, but he then ran straight toward the Newcastle fans, punched the air. I saw Joe Linton jump on the shoulders of Dan Burn. I think, Isaac, Dan Burn is the only player Joe Linton can fit on the shoulders of.
Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah. Oh.
Well, these are amazing scenes for Newcastle fans away to the right-hand side here. Liverpool players, just some of them sat. I can see Dominic Szoboszlai sat on the left-hand side in his own half, just watching on. Andy Robertson is near the centre circle, just with his hand on his chin, really, trying to work out what's just happened. I just think, Stephen, it almost felt like Newcastle did to Liverpool what Manchester United did to Newcastle a couple of years ago. Really, from minute one, Newcastle felt on top and energised and enthused and ready.
Well, what you've got to do is you've got to make the Liverpool players think they're tired. So from Liverpool's game on Tuesday night, they played extra time. So can we put that doubt into the mind straight away? Can we put them on the back foot? Can we make them feel heavy-legged? Mentally, they might not think it, but make them feel it. And that's exactly what they did. They smothered them. They made it difficult for them. I was with Les Ferdinand doing World Service before, and I was talking about the week that Liverpool have had. I wonder whether Arne Slot might look back on this week and think one of the biggest lessons this week was not making more changes against Southampton. With the 13 points, 14 points clear going into that game, 13 points clear they were, going into that game, they made 3 changes. Would he have made more, having looked back on that and said, big game against Paris Saint-Germain, cup final after it, the league will take care of itself over the course of time. They're still good enough to see that through. This Liverpool team looked tired today, don't want to make excuses for them, but they've had a really tough week. with that with the 120 minutes. But credit to Newcastle, they preyed on that. They made the most of that.
Well, we keep mentioning 1955, the last time Newcastle won a major domestic trophy. That wasn't just before VAR, goal line technology and the back pass rule. That was before substitutions were allowed in football. What I will say is good luck getting any Newcastle player off the pitch for the next 20 or 30 minutes. They've got a trophy to lift. Before that, John Murray, the Liverpool players are already making that walk that nobody wants to walk.
Well, the Liverpool players will be making their way up, so our commentary position is right at the back of the lower tier, so we always see them. In fact, Stephen, you've just pointed out that it's the other staircase away from us on the left side of the stadium, where the Liverpool players are making their way up to receive their runners-up medals. And indeed, now on the screen in front of us here, showing us the pictures from the tier above, we see Arne Slot leading his team, Virgil van Dijk right behind him, to receive their runners-up medal from the presentation party. And Arne Slot, you know, they can look forward to what will be an extraordinary end to the season for Liverpool Football Club. And here he is, actually, Arne Slot, just out of the window to our left, Virgil van Dijk, and the Liverpool goal scorer Chiesa behind him as well. You know, they've got a significant and momentous triumph, almost certainly, just a few weeks away, but they wanted more.
Yeah, it's not a nice walk when you lose this competition. I've done that walk. I've been up there, collected that loser's medal, and it's one of the worst feelings in football. But I'm just watching the players as they come past. And one of the players who walked past there was Mohamed Salah, who's been incredible this season, but was absent today. He didn't turn up. He was just on the periphery of the game completely.
He scored one goal for Liverpool now in 8 appearances at Wembley Stadium for them. But it was the way that the game developed really today. And just to go back to Newcastle, as Liverpool players continue to come past us here and walk down the steps, as the Newcastle players are all gathering on the pitch, waiting for an entirely different climb up the steps towards the Royal Box at Wembley Stadium. You know, I feel that experience that they had 2 years ago in this final, and because of the circumstances, with financial fair play, the fact that they haven't been able to spend the money that they wanted, that means that so many of these players, as we were saying earlier in the afternoon, experienced that defeat. And having played against West Ham and won in London, the other side of London, on Monday night, you know, their focus, their attention, we saw it from their approach today. There was a steely determination to make sure that didn't happen again.
Yeah, lessons learned from the previous final. I'd have loved that opportunity to come back to Wembley to put it right, to have that opportunity to try and correct the wrongs that you made, the mistakes you made leading up to the game, the mistakes within a game. And these players will feel very fortunate that they've been able to correct it, and they have corrected it, and they've gone on to win this final, and rightly so.
So for the first time since 1969, a set of Newcastle United players are going to walk up now to receive a trophy. That was the Intercities Fairs Cup, when Bobby Moncur was the Newcastle United captain and Joe Harvey was the manager. These are names, two names that are really, the two of them, colossuses in the history of Newcastle United, because they were winners and because there have been no successors until today, until this day in 2025. Newcastle United are going to get their name engraved onto that famous silver three-handled League Cup for the first time.
Yeah, Ian Dennis has just pointed out there that Arne Slot shaking the hands of every single Newcastle player as they walk past, as they go to make that walk up the staircase to go and collect that trophy.
And Eddie Howe, we've got an English football manager back in the winner's circle again. That's such a rarity. But Bruno is the chant from the Newcastle stands to our right. Over 30,000 Newcastle United fans inside Wembley Stadium, and you will not be surprised to hear, I don't think a single one of them has gone anywhere, even though there are only a certain number of trains back up the East Coast main line tonight. And they've also announced that all of those trains are dry trains tonight, by the way. They won't be serving anything alcoholic on those trains this evening. as we watch Newcastle players who are wreathed in smiles. And here they are. I'm just leaning out of the window here because they're gathering at the foot of the steps. So I can see Bruno Guimaraes, just a man of. Kieran Trippier is there as well. What a trooper he is. He's got his Spanish League title winners medal, but now he's got a domestic. Well, he'll very soon, in a few moments' time, have a domestic winners medal. He's got his arm around Bruno Guimaraes. So Bruno Guimaraes sets up on the steps. Kieran Trippier's behind him. Jacob Murphy as well. The boyhood Newcastle fan. Emil Kraft. There's young Lewis Miley as well, and Sean Neves, two of the youngsters. They're the future of Newcastle United. And off they go up there, onto the balcony, up onto the top tier. I know Dan Burn is already up there as well, receiving his medal. And now it's all about receiving that trophy. 1955 it was that Newcastle United were last presented with a trophy here at Wembley Stadium. That was when Jimmy Schooler was the Newcastle United captain who received the FA Cup. And any moment now, it's going to be a Brazilian who is going to receive the trophy. So back in the day, a couple of Scotsmen in Bobby Moncur and Jimmy Schooler who lifted a trophy for Newcastle United. Things have changed, times have changed. It's a completely different world of football now. But Newcastle United have moved back into the winner's circle, and they are just waiting now for all of the medals to be doled out. Here's Eddie Howe, who's going to receive his in a moment. Eddie Howe, in this competition, since an English manager last won it, Scotsmen have won it, Spaniards, Portuguese, German, Chilean, a Dutch, and a Dane. And now an Englishman will watch Bruno Guimaraes receive the League Cup. He lifts it alongside Kieran Trippier. The two of them kiss the trophy. It's got black and white ribbons on it. And it is being cheered to the rafters by those Newcastle United fans in the stands. And looking to my right, scenes like this have not been witnessed for such a long time. Inside Wembley Stadium, all the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces.
The Newcastle players will emerge shortly, just to our left-hand side, coming down the steps here at Wembley Stadium. And all of the fans around us, Isaac, I'll say this, they know they won the game. They were there when the final whistle blew, but not until that trophy is lifted do you really breathe out and embrace the moment. And what a moment.
Yeah, what a fantastic moment as well. Just watching those pictures there, it was fantastic to see Jamal Lascelles up there lifting the trophy as well. You know, what a servant he's been to the football club, and he's been there from the dark days, and he's still there now, obviously recovering from injury, but it's great to see him up there lifting the trophy as well. But as I said, for these fans, this will be a moment that they'll never forget. And as I said, for the younger generation of Newcastle fans now up and coming, this will be another fantastic moment for them. And hopefully now with the ownership and the funds that will be provided to keep pushing and moving up the table in the Premier League and winning more things, this will be a regular occurrence for the football club.
Stephen, we said before the game, this is an opportunity for Newcastle to really unlock something about their future, the kind of thing you can't unlock without winning a major trophy. What next now for them?
Well, I think if you're an onlooking player and you're potentially looking for a new club in the summer and to move on or to get an opportunity in the Premier League, and you look at this fan base, but you look at the manager, you look at the style of play, you look at the quality of players within that Newcastle squad, I think you're drawn to it. I think you can't help be drawn to it. And that is a magnificent sort of statement from Newcastle to try and move themselves forward now. It's absolutely brilliant for these Newcastle players. And the other thing I was going to say, Steve, is tell me this competition doesn't mean as much. Every single player, look what it means to them. I'd have given you anything to pick that trophy up. And I'm looking at these players and I'm absolutely over the moon for them, because that is an incredible achievement for these Newcastle players.
The cheers every couple of seconds as every Newcastle player in turn lifts the trophy. Although there was also, Stephen, a big cheer.
All right, Big Britain it's all over here. Full time results coming in here. Liverpool 1, Newcastle United 2, guys. Yep, congratulations to Newcastle United on winning this Carabao Cup, guys. And guys, they've made history. You know, the long wait is